Chapter 695. Facing the pitch-black muzzle of the spiritual god cannon, Qin Jian did not even have the chance to speak. Ma Shan enjoyed the treatment of 50 spiritual god cannons. The Beastman war god did not receive any special treatment and was blasted to the point that not even a speck of dust remained. This guy, it's fine if he doesn't make a move, but when he does, he is so ruthless that it makes one's scalp numb. Ping Yun could not help but shake his head. After seeing Lu Chen's methods, who would dare to provoke him in the future? For Xi's expedition faintly smiled, he is such a person. He treats his friends with sincerity, but towards his enemies, he is even more ruthless than his enemies. Unknowingly, 3 of the 4 great heavenly generals had already retreated a few steps. Only Man Tian was still immersed in a huge shock. When he woke up, he discovered that he was the only one left on the rostrum. At this time, that fiend had already arrived in front of him. Even Qin Jian was not his opponent. When Man Tian saw Lu Chen, he was already scared out of his wits. This was another advantage of Lu Chen being ruthless. He could make a ruthless person feel fear from the bottom of their heart. You, solipsistic, there is a misunderstanding between us. Misunderstanding? Lu Chen looked at Man Tian with a smile that was not a smile. Man Tian, Qin Jian is dead, but he is still a man. He still dares to admit what he did. How can you, a great heavenly general, shrink back? How can you lead troops to fight? If you were captured, wouldn't you have confessed everything? No, I really. Man Tian suddenly knelt in front of Lu Chen. I beg you, solipsistic, I know that you are chivalrous and righteous, so please spare my life. Lu Chen could not help but laugh. Chivalrous and righteous. Man Tian, are you sure you are talking about me? Yes, it is definitely you. Lu Chen shook his head. No, you previously said that I was a traitor. Your attitude changed too quickly, and I can't take it. I was wrong before. I was blind. I distorted the truth. I beg you, spare me. Lu Chen slowly raised the spiritual deity cannon. It's impossible for me to forgive you. I'm not chivalrous at all, and I'm especially vengeful. What's more, you're indeed unforgivable. Suddenly, killing intent exploded in Lu Chen's eyes. How dare you touch my sister? Do you think you still have a chance to live? Suppressive fire. Boom 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 boom. The rostrum instantly exploded, and Man Tian didn't even have the courage to resist. He was directly blasted into smithereens by Lu Chen. However, this matter was not over yet. Lu Chen looked at 4C's Yuanzheng. Brother Yuanzheng, do me a favor. Find out who was involved in the operation against the Earthlings, don't miss a single one. None of you who dared to touch my clansmen shall live. The 4C's expedition had always protected the Earthlings and paid special attention to the Earthlings. He believed that he would not miss out on this matter. Brother Du Quang, don't worry about this matter. I'll get someone to investigate it thoroughly for you. Many thanks. The elf and dwarf heavenly generals looked on helplessly as a commoner executed a heavenly general. The shock in their hearts couldn't be any greater. This guy is too scary, isn't that so? Fortunately, we didn't participate. Pass down the order. In the future, if any Earthlings come to the Immortal Army, they must inform me immediately. Originally, it was supposed to be a meeting to pronounce Lu Chen's crimes. Now, it had become Lu Chen's execution of the sinners of the Orc race. The Orc war god was killed, and Man Tian was executed. At this moment, more than half of the Orc race had died. At this moment, the Orc race's vitality had been greatly damaged. No one dared to look at Lu Chen's eyes. For Xi's Yuanzheng walked in front of Lu Chen and said, Brother Du Quang, there's something I want to discuss with you. When 4C's Yuanzheng wasn't around, he had been protecting the Earthlings. Moreover, Lu Chen's relationship with 4C's Yuanzheng wasn't bad. Hearing 4C's Yuan Zheng's words, the evil aura in Lu Chen's eyes dissipated, and he turned back into his human form. Brother Yuan Zheng, there's no need to be so polite. What's the matter? A second ago, he was still a death god. In the next second, Lu Chen had become amiable and approachable. Brother Du Kuang, previously, you said that the orc race would be removed from the immortal army. Can this matter be delayed? Lu Chen slightly frowned. They were the ones who schemed against you. Are you sure you want to keep them? 4C's Yuanzheng shook his head. The ones who truly schemed against you are Man Tian and the others. I've already investigated it, and it coincides with your conjecture. Therefore, I didn't stop you from killing Man Tian. However, there are still many commoners in the orc race who don't know about this matter. If they are expelled from the immortal army, they might not be able to survive. After a moment of silence, Lu Chen said, Brother Yuan Zheng, forgive me for not being able to agree to this matter. After today's matter, even if they are commoners, they will still hold a grudge against me. I don't mind it, but if I keep them in the immortal army, they might become disloyal. Lu Chen said, moreover, the orc race, from top to bottom, has been ruthless to my people. I won't let this matter rest. But, our immortal army's strength can only be considered average among the 9 camps. If we lose the orc race, I'm afraid, Brother Yuan Zheng, don't worry. Before I leave, I will deal with the matters of the 9 camps. 2.5 months later, the 9 camps will come to watch the battle between me and Extreme E Netherglow. At that time, I will give you a satisfactory answer. Since Lu Chen said so, 4C's Yuan Zheng could only give up. After the battle, the immortal army's headquarters was about to turn into ruins. The headquarters might need to be rebuilt in another place. However, there should be no need for Earth's players to be coolies. A figure rushed over from afar and pounced into Lu Chen's embrace, hugging him tightly. Brother! Hearing this voice, Lu Chen's eyes were no longer filled with killing intent. His gaze softened, Fatty, I'm sorry. Brother made you suffer. Lu Yi's face was filled with tears as she shook her head, Brother, it's good that you're fine. You really scared me to death. Xing Chen, Xiaoyao Feng, Gu Fei, and Yan Ran also walked over. President, I finally know why Mountain Strength and the others like to call you crazy. You're really crazy. Xing Chen said excitedly, the battle just now was really exciting. It was both real and fake. It was unexpected. It really opened my eyes. Isn't that so? I haven't seen Mad God in battle for a long time. Today, I realized that Mad God is indeed Mad God. He's still so strong even at level 4. Lu Chen smiled and patted Xing Chen's shoulder, why are you guys at level 4? I thought you guys were at level 3. Now that Earth is concentrating resources to nurture us, didn't pills that increase attributes appear at level 3? That's why we had the chance to come up so quickly. Lu Chen nodded. Although the pills at level 3 could only increase attributes by 10, Earth was strong because they had so many people. The sect store at level 4 had pills that increased attributes by 100. If more people from Earth came up, the development of Earth's players would be even faster. Noa, Ning Shuang, 10 Steps, and the others. President is still at level 3. Most of Mad Wave's people are at level 3. She needs to lead the team down there. Is level 3 still peaceful? It's quite stable. The other races don't dare to provoke us humans now. Lu Chen had been at level 4 for more than 3 years. He really missed his old friends. Chapter 696. In Jiutian, strength was the most important thing. After the battle at the headquarters of the Immortal Army, no one mentioned Lu Chen's crimes anymore. Not only that, but the half-beast race was also kicked out of the Immortal Army. As for where they would go in the future, that would depend on their own luck. The 4C's expedition captured the people who had abused the players from Earth. What awaited them was naturally military punishment. Lu Chen, Lu Yi, and the others stayed in Gufei's camp for the time being. That guy was now a heaven general and had soldiers in his hands. Yan Ran, Dongfang Ji, and Moran were all with him. Lu Chen and the Earthlings stayed here as if it was their own home. One day, Nan Tian and Elder Ling came to find Lu Chen. "Brother Lone Tyrant, we want to erect a statue in the sect. It can also be considered an advertisement. What do you think?" "Statue?" Lu Chen's eyes were filled with astonishment. "No need. Wouldn't it be too ostentatious?" "It's not ostentatious. How can it compare to you directly changing the military laws of the Immortal Army?" Elder Ling said with a smile. "Actually, erecting the statue is mainly to attract more experts and newcomers to the sect and make the sect famous." Lu Chen blinked his eyes. "Then, whatever. By the way, Brother Nan Tian, can my compatriots enter the Extreme Immortal sect? They were forced to join the Immortal Army. Currently, their strength needs to be honed. The sect dungeon can provide some equipment and they can learn some battle techniques. It will be helpful for them." "Of course," Nan Tian said excitedly. "Of course we welcome them. Don't give them any special treatment. Pampering them will only be detrimental to them. Don't worry about this. I will treat them all equally. Whether or not they can grow will depend on their own efforts." Lu Chen nodded. If his Earthlings could enter the Extreme Immortal sect, he would be more at ease. "By the way, Brother Lone Tyrant, I heard that in 2.5 months, you will have a battle with Extreme Nether Glow. Is that true?" Nan Tian asked with concern. Lu Chen nodded. "It's true. But, I've heard that no one has been able to kill the Extreme Nether Glow. I'm not doubting your strength, but if you challenge the Tong Tian Tower normally, as long as you obtain the approval of the Extreme Nether Glow, you'll be able to pass." Lu Chen shook his head and said, "Others can pass the level after getting the approval of the Lunar Nether Glow, but I think I'll get special treatment. I made a 1-year agreement with it, and now there are only 2 months left. So that's how it is. Brother Du Quang, are you confident?" "Not at the moment, but there are still more than 2 months left. After 2 months, I will settle things with it. Big Brother Nantian, if possible, bring my sister and the others back to the sect as soon as possible. I don't want them to see my battle." Nan Tian's heart tightened when he heard Lu Chen's words. Solipsistic meant that he really had no confidence. Therefore, he didn't want his clansmen to worry about him. "Don't worry, I'll set off in 2 days to take them away. But old Brother Du Quang, you must be careful." "I will. Thank you." It was rare for him to meet Lu Yi in the game. He still remembered that in the past, Lu Chen would secretly turn on his invisibility, touch Lu Yi, and poison her to death. Several years had passed, and Lu Yi was no longer poisoned to death so easily. The silly girl had grown up, and she had already become one of the top players on Earth. "You guys return to the Extreme Immortal sect and cultivate well. Don't mention my name, you guys will have to rely on yourselves," Lu Chen said to Lu Yi, Stardust, and the others. "Guild leader, don't worry, we won't let you down," Stardust said. Lu Yi pulled on Lu Chen's hand, seemingly reluctant to let go. However, Lu Yi was not a spoiled girl. In the end, she let go of Lu Chen's arm and said, "Brother, don't spend all your time in the game. If you have time, come eat with me." Speaking of which, it was interesting. The siblings lived next door, but they hadn't seen each other for a long time. "I know. In 2 months, I'll find time to take you out to eat old Sue's barbecue. That's a promise. If you dare stand me up, I'll pull out your cable." Pulling out the cable was obviously the most ruthless move. Even Lu Chen was afraid of it. As he watched his friends leave with Nan Tian and the others, Nan Tian kept looking back. There were a few times when he wanted to say something, but he stopped. However, in the end, he didn't say anything, keeping the secret between him and Lu Chen a secret. After this farewell, he didn't know when he would see them again. He didn't know if he would see a pair of siblings happily eating barbecue at Old Sue's barbecue 2 months later. "Madman, aren't you going to tell your sister?" Gufei walked over. He was now calling Lu Chen a madman, just like Li Beixian and the others. Lu Chen shook his head. "If I tell her now, that girl probably won't be able to sleep for 2 months. Dongfang Ji suddenly said, "Don't worry, if you die, I'll help you take care of your sister." Lu Chen looked at Dongfang Ji in disdain. "I'm warning you, don't you dare have any ideas about my sister. Your sister isn't young anymore. Do all the girls on your planet marry at a later age? Sai, look at me, I'm not bad either. I'm the young master of the Dongfang family, handsome, rich, and upright. You don't even like me?" Gufei shook his head. "If we're talking about handsomeness, how can you compare to me? Madman, Dongfang Ji can't do it. What about me? I'm the strongest newcomer from the 5 major families in the 3rd heaven. I have a bright future ahead of me. I'm elegant and charming, and countless girls will bow down to me. Moreover, I'm absolutely loyal. If I marry your sister, I won't take in any concubines. If I go back on my words, Dongfang Ji will strike me to death. So I've become a tool for you to make an oath." Dongfang Ji's face was filled with righteous indignation. "I don't think I'll strike you. You'll be lucky if Madman doesn't destroy your Dongfang family." Lu Chen frowned as he looked at the 2 guys. "Hey, you 2 have guts. If you want to marry my sister, you'll have to beat me first." The 2 of them instantly spat out a mouthful of blood. "Beat you, big brother? Do you want your sister to die alone? Can't you consider your sister's feelings?" "I'm willing." Lu Chen threw down these words and rolled his eyes at the 2 of them. He couldn't be bothered with them anymore. During this month, Lu Chen had been hiding in his residence, thinking about how to defeat the lunar nether glow. Xuan Ling had sent him several messages. The Saintess and the others had already obtained 5 fragments of the demonic god's lotus heart. Adding the one in Lu Chen's hands, they had a total of 7 fragments. However, the last 2 fragments were the hardest to find. These 2 fragments weren't in the hands of the 9 factions. He didn't know if he could find them in a month. The native army had 300,000 people, and Xuan Ling was with them. If they couldn't find them, Lu Chen might not be able to find them himself. Now, he could only wait. Of course, Lu Chen couldn't place all his hopes on the demonic god's lotus heart. He still didn't know what the demonic god's lotus heart's effects were. The mixed celestial and demonic cultivation technique was already at level 3. He couldn't level it up anymore, so he couldn't activate more exclusive skills. Therefore, the demonic god's lotus heart might not be able to bring about a qualitative change in his strength. The scariest thing about the lunar nether glow is its immunity to attacks, as well as its star annihilation. Lu Chen fell into deep thought. At this moment, a letter was secretly slipped into Lu Chen's door. After Lu Chen discovered it, he chased after it, but he didn't see anyone. He opened the letter. There was only one sentence inside. Go to the Starry River waterfall to cultivate. Whether you can comprehend it or not depends on your luck. Signed, Mountain Man. Chapter 697. The Milky Way waterfall wasn't too far from here, so Lu Chen headed there that day. From afar, Lu Chen saw a huge waterfall falling from a cliff hundreds of meters high. The turbulent water rushed down the cliff. Standing in front of the waterfall, Lu Chen was as small as an ant. The turbulent water vapor hit him wave after wave, and he was soon drenched. Why did the mountain man send me here? Lu Chen looked around. There were no monsters or dungeons here, only this huge waterfall. However, the mountain man only sent him this letter and didn't show up. He also didn't tell him how to meditate or what to meditate on. Damn, don't come and go without a trace, okay? Lu Chen was a little confused for a moment. While looking around, he didn't find any monsters, but Lu Chen did find a stone tablet. Generally, such things would appear in some maps. Divine Bathing Terrace, waterfall descends 3,000 feet, suspected to be Jyotian. Legend has it that an immortal once bathed under the waterfall, but the pressure of 100 tons isn't something an ordinary person can withstand. Lu Chen frowned slightly. He looked at the deep pool under the waterfall. There was a huge rock where the waterfall's water was the most concentrated. Logically speaking, the rock should have sunk in after being washed by the waterfall for many years, but this rock was exceptionally sturdy, and its surface was flat and smooth. The Divine Bathing Terrace must be that rock. Lu Chen thought about it over and over in his mind. The mountain man definitely didn't send him here to admire the scenery. He mentioned meditating, and the most obvious places here were obviously the Milky Way waterfall and the Divine Bathing Terrace. Don't tell me I have to cultivate under the waterfall. That seemed to be the only possibility. Looking at the waterfall rushing down from a height of 1,000 feet, Lu Chen couldn't help but shiver. Such a fierce flow of water should be similar to a high-pressure water gun. Whatever, I'll give it a try. Then, Lu Chen used the triple door and rushed into the waterfall. However, just as he stood on the immortal bathing platform, Lu Chen felt a mountain-toppling pressure. He immediately lost his footing and was directly swept onto the immortal bathing platform by the current. Holy shit, so fierce. Under the huge pressure, Lu Chen seemed to be sucked in by this force, unable to move. Your body is damaged. The ratio is 5%, 10%, his body was damaged. It was increasing at a rate of 5% per second. If Lu Chen couldn't get out of the high-pressure water flow, he would die here. Little furball, stand still and don't move. At this critical moment, Lu Chen summoned Little Furball. Although the Little Furball didn't know what Lu Chen wanted to do, it was a critical moment and didn't have time to ask. It quickly enlarged and clung to the ground with its 2 claws. I'm all ears. Lu Chen hurriedly activated his skill. Due to the characteristics of the skill, even if Little Furball grew bigger, its body would still be forcefully pulled over by Lu Chen. However, at the same time, Lu Chen also felt that he was being pulled by Little Furball. Fortunately, the immortal bathing platform was very smooth. With just a little pulling force, Lu Chen was able to move. Finally, with the help of this little pulling force, Lu Chen finally slid out of the high-pressure water column without any danger. At this time, his body was already at 30%. His skin was red and he was completely exhausted. Holy shit, I almost died in there. As expected, this place isn't something that ordinary people can withstand. Lu Chen let out a long sigh of relief. Little Green, help me heal my injuries. With an alchemist apprentice around, some low-level recovery pills could be cultivated and refined at any time. An hour later, Lu Yi had refined 3 types of recovery pills and fed them to Lu Chen. Boss, if you consume the same type of pills in a short period of time, you will develop a resistance to the effects. You should practice tomorrow, Lu Yi said worriedly. Lu Chen turned around and looked at the Star River waterfall. The pressure just now had left a deep impression on him. What exactly did the people in the mountains want me to comprehend? Lu Chen frowned. Little Green, if I only practice once a day, I'm afraid it will be too late. Look at how many more pills you can refine. If I control the damage to my body to 30%, how many times can I try? Lu Yi said, Boss, not counting the high-grade pills I refined, according to the characteristics of grade 3 pills, you can try 3 times a day at most. 3 times. I understand. Since that's the case, I don't need to rush to try. Thinking of this, Lu Chen found a patch of grass and sat there, looking at the waterfall in a daze. The most powerful thing about the Extreme E Nether Glow is that I can't hit its body. If I'm surrounded by it, the star annihilation can kill me directly. When the star annihilation is activated, countless amounts of spiritual energy will wash over the trapped person from the ground until their body is reduced to ashes. From this point of view, it seems to be similar to the Star River waterfall. The only difference is that one is from the bottom up, while the other is from the top down. There's no difference. The more Lu Chen thought about it, the more frightened he became. He seemed to understand the people in the mountain's intentions. If I can withstand the erosion of the Star River waterfall, then I can withstand the star annihilation. It's just that in such a short time, it's impossible for my body to be strengthened to the point where it can withstand such abnormal pressure. Could it be that they want me to go back and refine my attributes? After thinking about it, Lu Chen felt that this shouldn't be the case. Otherwise, the people in the mountains would have asked him to return to the ultimate immortal sect. Moreover, the Star River waterfall and the star annihilation are not exactly the same. One is a skill, while the other is a waterfall. Lu Chen fell into deep thought. After an unknown amount of time, Lu Chen suddenly raised his head and looked at the Star River waterfall. In the Azura world, I comprehended a trace of a calm state of mind. From now on, I seem to be able to sense the flow of spiritual energy more accurately. After all, there's no qualitative change in the fourth heaven. I should think about it from the perspective of a game. Thinking of this, Lu Chen activated the heavenly eye. Lu Chen was shocked by what he saw. The entire area of the Star River waterfall was filled with a large amount of spiritual energy, especially the waterfall itself, which seemed to be constantly washing down. This is a spiritual source. Lu Chen said in shock. Unfortunately, Lu Chen's spiritual energy had reached the upper limit and couldn't be increased anymore. Otherwise, if he cultivated here, his cultivation speed might have increased exponentially. In an instant, Lu Chen seemed to understand. The people in the mountains didn't ask me to come to this spiritual source to train my body. Lu Chen took a deep breath. They meant for me to sense the spiritual energy. Thinking of this, Lu Chen quickly sat cross-legged, closed his eyes slightly, and observed everything around him with the heavenly eye. Thinking back, when the Jiutian was first released, there was an advertising slogan, "Everything has spiritual energy." The fifth heaven would be a qualitative change, and at the fourth heaven, there were already elements outside of skills like ultimate sword intent, which meant that there were other ways to determine the strength of a person other than equipment and skills. Rolling tides poured down from the Jiutian, but now, what Lu Chen felt was not water, but endless spiritual energy. 10 days later. In these 10 days, Lu Chen didn't rashly enter the immortal bathing terrace. He seemed to have blended into the environment, becoming a stone beside the waterfall. He just sat quietly beside the waterfall, feeling the spiritual energy with his heart. The slight changes in the spiritual energy seemed to become particularly clear in his mind. Everything in the world has spiritual energy. When Lu Chen opened his eyes, they became particularly clear. Chapter 698. At this moment, Lu Chen could clearly observe the spirit energy carried by the surrounding water vapor, let alone the turbulent waterfall. He raised his hand and gently lifted it. The spirit energy was lifted by him and dissipated. When he put down his hand, the density of the spirit energy changed, and the spirit energy above it chased after the trajectory of his hand. Lu Chen smiled slightly. After coming to Jiutian for so long, he had never played with spirit energy. Interesting. Let's try a skill. Great Ravager Sweep. A wave of spirit energy swept out and blasted on the waterfall, quickly engulfing it. Sure enough, it's also the vibration of spirit energy. After trying other skills, Lu Chen found that other than physical attacks, no matter if it was spiritual power attack, elemental attack, or chaotic attack, those high-level moves and skills were all vibrations of spirit energy. It was just that the spirit energy was endowed with different attributes. In that case, star destruction is also the change of spirit energy. Lu Chen pondered. To deal with star destruction, just seeing is not enough. I have to find a way to change the direction of the spirit energy. Speaking of changing the direction of the spirit energy, Lu Chen remembered that when he was playing with the spirit energy just now, the direction of the spirit energy changed along with the movement of his hand. If my movements are big enough, then I can change the direction of the spirit energy in a bigger and fiercer way. No, it's not limited to the body. The spirit energy I release can also change the direction of the spirit energy of the other party. Thinking of this, Lu Chen gave up on using any moves. He just slowly released the spirit energy in the spirit energy core, forming a small airflow that led the spirit energy in the surroundings to change. Yes, it's doable. Let's try colliding with the water vapor. The deep pool under the waterfall released a large amount of water vapor, which was endless and diffused outwards. However, although the amount of water vapor was huge, it did not have much impact. Lu Chen tried to release more spirit energy to collide with the water vapor. In the first few times, Lu Chen could not control the release of his spirit energy, and his spirit energy was directly swallowed by the water vapor. After repeated practice, after 6 days, Lu Chen could make his spirit energy cancel out a large amount of water vapor. On the east side of the deep pool, a visible wall was formed. The two kinds of spiritual energy offset each other, and the water mist couldn't leak out at all. The water mist was endless, but Lu Chen's pure spiritual energy was limited. After more than 10 minutes of stalemate, Lu Chen's spiritual energy was exhausted, and the overwhelming water mist drenched him. Fuck. So ferocious. No, I still need to increase my endurance. 6 transformations of the demonic god. Put him to death. Dragon blood boil. Lu Chen lowered his HP, ensuring that the skill's cooldown was almost negligible. During the process of using spiritual energy, Lu Chen only had 1/3 of the spiritual energy left in his spirit core. At the same time, he activated his spirit storm to quickly replenish his spirit core. Controlling spiritual energy was not an easy task. At the beginning, when Lu Chen launched the spiritual energy storm, he had to multitask and the spiritual energy was instantly swallowed up by the mist, causing him to be unable to dry his body for 2 days. Later, after repeated attempts, Lu Chen could finally stabilize his spiritual energy and use his spirit storm at the same time, maintaining his spirit core in an adequate state at all times. At this time, there were only 14 days left until his battle with Extreme E Nether Glow. The Saintess had found a fragment of the demonic god's lotus heart, and there was only one left. However, Xuanling said that there was no clue about the last one. Lu Chen temporarily put aside the matter of the demonic god's lotus heart and continued to comprehend. When he had already familiarized himself with the control of his spirit storm and spiritual energy, another bold idea popped up. If I increase the amount of spiritual energy overflow, can I offset the impact of the waterfall? This was definitely a crazy idea. After all, only immortals could bathe in the immortal bathing terrace. As long as my spirit storm can be replenished fast enough, with my current reserves of spirit core, it might not be impossible to block it. Thinking of this, Lu Chen arranged for the little furball to be on the shore, ready to use listen to save him at any time. The little furball also knew that this matter was of great importance. After transforming, it hugged a big tree tightly with its claws. Taking a deep breath, Lu Chen dove into the Milky Way waterfall. Even though Lu Chen was prepared, the huge water pressure still crushed the spiritual energy released by Lu Chen in an instant. Lu Chen was directly pushed onto the immortal bathing terrace. Listen carefully. This time, Lu Chen reacted quickly, running out as soon as his body was injured. The second time, failure, third failure, fourth failure, a few days ago, Lu Chen didn't succeed even once. Fortunately, he ran fast enough, and his body wasn't seriously injured. Little Green slightly treated him and he could try more than 10 times a day. On the 8th day, Lu Chen rushed into the waterfall again. This time, Just as he was washed by the water, he quickly released a large amount of spiritual energy to resist the water. I can hold on. Lu Chen's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, and his mind was highly concentrated. Under such circumstances, he had to continuously release spiritual energy storms to maintain the consumption of spiritual energy. Perhaps it was a matter of course. This time, although Lu Chen withstood the water for the first time, he released 7 or 8 spiritual energy storms in a row, resisting the Milky Way waterfall for more than 2 minutes. Not good, I can't hold on anymore. Listen carefully. Lu Chen also learned to be smart. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, he immediately slipped away. After coming out of the waterfall, Lu Chen was in a good mood. This time, he held on for more than 2 minutes, much better than before. Ha ha ha, this is a place only immortals can stay. I, Lu Chen, also stayed for more than 2 minutes. Awesome. With the successful experience, Lu Chen's progress became greater and greater. On the 3rd day, he could already stay in the waterfall for half an hour, until he could move freely in the waterfall, and even use skills. 5 days later, Lu Chen had completely grasped the method to resist the waterfall. He even released a small amount of water and took a bath in it. I've finally grasped it. Even if the stars are destroyed, I won't be afraid of him. Lu Chen walked out of the waterfall without a single drop of water on his body. This feeling really made him feel like an immortal. Little furball, no need to hug the tree. Come, let's go back. At the same time, the entire 4th heaven had stopped fighting for several days. A piece of news caused the 9 factions to have no time to fight each other. The human solipsistic would fight the extreme nether glow in the war zone tomorrow. The top experts of each faction, and even those experts who had been in seclusion for a long time, all rushed to the public war zone. The next morning, the 9 factions had already set up camp outside the war zone. The number of people was already hard to count. Devin nervously pulled his father's sleeve. Dad, is Uncle Kwang really going to fight the extreme nether glow? Didn't they say that no one has ever defeated the extreme nether glow? The flame demon looked at his son. In this year, little Devin had grown rapidly. The magic tool that this little fellow liked the most now was the dark eye of the gods that old Kwang had given him. After witnessing Uncle Kwang fight the 8 sky generals by himself and then fight Demon Sovereign Holy War, Devin's shock had been too great. Now, in Devin's heart, even his own father might not have a higher status than Uncle Kwang. I don't know, in order to save me, your Uncle Kwang made a 1-year agreement with the extreme nether glow. Now, I can only hope that he can win. Demon Sovereign Holy War walked over. Putting aside the matter of that day, Demon Sovereign Holy War had let Lu Chen go. He could see that this fellow was a broad-minded person. After the flame demon, he had also disregarded the past and became friends with him. There are so many people here today. Even some old fellows have come out. The flame demon nodded. That's right. Everyone knows how strong the extreme nether glow is. No one dares to fight it to the death. What about the solipsistic? I haven't seen him yet, but he won't go back on his word. Demon Sovereign Holy War nodded. Indeed, he won't go back on his word. I hope he can create a miracle. Chapter 699. The 9 camps were gathered in the war zone, but it was especially peaceful today. They only sent a large number of people to be on guard. Not long after, another group came from afar. When everyone saw this group, they immediately became alert. The desolate god tribe is here. During this period of time, other than solipsistics matter, the desolate god tribe has the biggest influence. They actually came out of the wildlands. It's said that they have 300,000 people and are very strong. Now, they have become a new force in the 4th heaven. They have been searching for the demonic lotus heart fragment recently. They even came here to trade for it. I don't know why they want that useless thing. Even in the wildlands, not everyone knew about the relationship between Lu Chen and the desolate god tribe, let alone the 9 camps. At this time, the Saintess personally led 10,000 elite troops to the war zone to set up camp. Behind the Saintess was Shuang Ling. At this time, Shuang Ling had a worried expression. It seemed that she was very depressed. Saintess, we still haven't found the last demonic lotus heart fragment. In the end, we couldn't help Brother Quang. He's going to fight Extreme Een Nether Glow today. What should we do? As she spoke, Shuang Ling was about to cry. The Saintess had a tired expression. Originally, they had found 6 fragments with 10 days left. There was only 1 left. However, when they followed the clues, the final clue was cut off. There was no news about the last God-fiend fragment. In the Wildlands tribe, where everyone was very strong, they still couldn't find the last fragment in the allotted time. I'm sorry, Miss Shuang Ling. Our Wildlands tribe has really let Brother Quang down. Now, many people in the tribe were still searching for the last fragment. However, the hope was too slim. Solipsistic was going to fight today, so the Saintess could only bring the 6 fragments here first. The desolate god tribe set up camp not far from the Human Alliance. The Saintess and Shuang Ling went to the Human Alliance. Without knowing the purpose of the other party's visit, the 4 Seas expedition and the other 2 great generals personally welcomed them. 3 great generals, may I ask if Solipsistic is here? The Saintess went straight to the point. Not yet. The Saintess had a human bloodline. Shuang Ling was also a human. It was most suitable for the 4 Seas expedition to communicate. Great Heavenly General Yuanzhang, do you mind if we wait for him here? 4 Seas expedition's mind spun rapidly. It was not difficult to tell from the other party's words that they had a good relationship with Solipsistic. If the 2 parties had a good relationship, it would definitely be good news for the human immortal army. Being able to establish a good relationship with the Aragami tribe was something that the 9 factions could only dream of. It is our honor that the Saintess is willing to wait for us here. However, if I may ask, are the Solipsistic tribe and the Desolate God tribe enemies or friends? The Saintess smiled faintly. Many humans and dwarves were already stunned. Every movement of this woman carried a sacred and inviolable temperament. Her pair of eyes seemed to be able to steal a person's soul. It was just that the 4 Seas expedition was old and had a better temperament. If we were enemies, what would you do? 4 Seas expedition's heart tightened. He seemed to have been too optimistic. Thinking about Solipsistic's personality, it was normal for him to cause trouble everywhere. If we are enemies, then I would like to ask the Saintess to settle it after today's battle. After all, today's battle is the key. 4 Seas expedition said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. The Saintess' eyes were like autumn water. She smiled and said, "It seems that you guys are quite protective of him. Don't worry, I am not here to cause trouble." 4 Seas expedition heaved a sigh of relief. The Saintess was actually testing him. The 9 factions, plus the Desolate God tribe, the 10 major factions were all waiting in the war zone. From morning to afternoon, and then to afternoon. The autumn wind blew through the forest, rustling the leaves. People began to worry that Solipsistic tribe would not come. If he did not come, they would have to return immediately. After all, after sunset, it was the time for the moon nether glow to go out. If they met that guy in the wild, the entire Azura tribe would be wiped out. The various factions were even on standby, ready to leave at any time. Devon was a little anxious. He asked his father, "Dad, Uncle Quang is not here yet." The flame demon was calmer than anyone else. "Your Uncle Quang will come." Of course he would come. After all, he was poisoned. If he did not fight today, he would definitely die. Just as some of the teams were preparing to leave, they suddenly felt the ground under their feet begin to move. The entire war zone seemed to have turned into a surging sea. There were loud rumbling sounds all around. The mountains in the distance were shaking up and down at a rate visible to the naked eye. Countless rocks fell from the mountains. It's the moon nether glow. That's not right. The sun hasn't set yet. Why is it out so early? Not good. We have fallen into solipsistic tribe's trap. He wants to use the moon nether glow to destroy us. Speaking of which, is this the moon nether glow? This is the first time I have felt its power. It's too terrifying. Stop talking nonsense. Retreat immediately. There are many people here. The moon nether glow might not chase after us. Just as the 9 factions were in a mess, a huge dragon flew over from the horizon with its back facing the setting sun. 9-winged celestial dragon. A human male stood on the dragon's head. He was wearing a red robe that fluttered in the wind. His hands were behind his back, and a black and white sword was hanging by his side. His gaze was calm. His hair, which had not been combed for a long time, was slightly long. His black hair fluttered in the wind, but it could not cover his clear eyes. When she saw that person, the saintess was stunned. After not seeing him for 2 short months, solipsistic tribe seemed to have changed. He was calmer and more relaxed. Even though he was just standing on the dragon's head, he gave off the feeling of looking down on all living things. The flame demon looked at that fellow and a strange feeling welled up in his heart. The flame demon did not want him to come, but he also knew that he would definitely come. This was his good brother. The 8 brothers who dared to come to the demon territory alone to save him from the execution field. Even though he knew that he would die, he could not stop his footsteps. Uncle Kwang, it's Uncle Kwang. Devon shouted excitedly. Uncle Kwang. I knew you would come. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me. The tough flame demon was actually a bit choked up. This brat, wearing such a flashy outfit again. Why don't you wear the one I gave you? Xuan Ling looked at the man on the dragon's head in a daze. The battle had not yet begun, but her heart was already in her throat. On one side was the extreme nether glow, who had never been defeated before. On the other side was her brother Kwang. It would be strange if she was not worried. What's more, the fragments of the demonic god's lotus heart had not been gathered yet. In the air, a faint voice sounded. Extreme earthworm, the time is not up yet. Don't be so anxious. You're scaring my friends. Gui Yanran almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This fellow always gave his opponents nicknames. When he was fighting the Black Flood Dragon, he called his opponent Squid. Now, it was even more impressive. The extreme nether glow, Yang sacred beast, was called an earthworm by him. In the entire 4th heaven, no one dared to call it the extreme nether glow. This fellow is really a little expert with nicknames. Chapter 700. With Lu Chen's shout, the earth actually calmed down. The 9-winged celestial dragon stopped in front of the human race's Immortal Army Alliance camp before being kept by Lu Chen. The Saintess, Xuan Ling, Gufei, Yanran, Foresee's expedition and the rest all gathered around. Brother Lone Kwang, I'm here to ask for forgiveness. The Saintess said, previously, I even boasted that you would leave the matter of the demonic god Lotus Heart to me. In the end, I actually failed to collect all of it. Lu Chen smiled, Saintess, you helped me collect the fragments. I should thank you for guessing correctly. So many people from the desolate god tribe couldn't find all of them. If I were to look for them myself, it would be good if I could find 1 or 2 in such a short time. But Brother Kwang, you're about to fight the extreme nether glow. Xuan Ling said anxiously, no, this time I'll go with you. Right, we'll go with you. Lu Chen shook his head, if we can't deal with star extermination, no matter how many people there are, they will be killed by it. Numbers are useless. I'll deal with it alone. Lu Chen suddenly saw Southern Sky Sect leader, Brother Southern Sky, why are you here too? Is my sister alright? Southern Sky nodded, I'm just worried about you. As for your fellow villagers and your sister, you can rest assured that I didn't say a single word to them. Right now, they are training in the sect. Lu Chen heaved a sigh of relief, that's good. I'll have to trouble Brother Southern Sky to help me take care of them in the future. The moment these words came out, everyone's heart sank. From what they heard, it sounded like Lu Chen felt that he had no chance of winning this battle. However, Lu Chen's words were not wrong. Whether or not he could defeat the extreme E Nether Glow, it was time for him to leave. Since Lu Yi and the rest were fine, Lu Chen was relieved. Solipsistic, are you ready? I can't wait any longer. A deep voice came, as if a hammer was hammering on everyone's heart. After Lu Chen heard it, he smiled. The time had come. Brother Quan. You, be careful. Shuang Ling said anxiously. Brother Du Quang, we will wait for your return. Solipsistic, you have to come back. Jinghua Yanran held back her tears. Lu Chen looked at these people and smiled. Along the way, unknowingly, he had already made so many friends. Perhaps this was also a gratifying thing. Without replying to them, Lu Chen resolutely turned around. His eyes became exceptionally calm as he slowly walked towards the center of the battlefield. Countless people watched on helplessly as Lone Tyrant walked out of the crowd. That's the solipsistic of the human race. He's going up. It wasn't easy for the human clan to produce an expert, but I didn't expect him to court death like this. How could he possibly defeat the extreme E Nether Glow? But then again, perhaps the human race isn't as weak as we think. The ground rumbled as the empty space in front of Lu Chen exploded. The extreme E Nether Glow had appeared. Seeing this huge monster again, Lu Chen was exceptionally calm. He said indifferently, hey, do you want to detoxify the goo poison in my body first? If I kill you, no one will detoxify the goo poison for me. The extreme E Nether Glow didn't hesitate. The woman raised her hand and took back a shadow goo from Lu Chen's body. Since you keep your promise, I will naturally help you detoxify the goo. Do you have any last wishes? Regardless of the outcome between us, don't attack these armies that can't return to their territories in time. Of course. One more question. Why did you sign a 1-year agreement with me? Is it because I shouldn't exist in the Jyotian? Correct. Lu Chen smiled. As expected, it was related to his identity. Do you have a fragment of the demonic god's lotus heart? Yes. Lu Chen took a deep breath. His conjecture was correct. It wasn't that the Saintess and the others were incompetent. In fact, as long as a fragment of the demonic god's lotus heart existed in the 4th layer, with the desolate god tribe's ability, they could definitely find it. The only reason they couldn't find it was because it was with the extreme E Nether Glow. Others might not know the power of the demonic god set, but the extreme E Nether Glow should know. It was actually very simple to prevent others from obtaining the demonic god's lotus heart. As long as he left a fragment with himself, others wouldn't be able to gather it. As expected, not a single piece of the demonic god set could be obtained easily. The difficulty of obtaining each piece was beyond imagination. The result was obvious. Even without the 1-year agreement, Lu Chen had to kill the extreme E Nether Glow. Good, I've finished asking my questions. Lu Chen took a deep breath and activated War God's Possession, Demon Transformation, Land of Death, Boiling Dragon Blood, and 3 Lives Reincarnation, Demonic God Symbiosis. Seeing Lu Chen's skills, Yanran frowned, this guy, why did he lower his health so low from the start? He even used 3 Lives Reincarnation. He used both of his rebirth. The Saintess said, in the 4th layer of heaven, the effects of rebirth aren't very useful. The extreme E Nether Glow's attacks almost always damage the body. Even if the character can be reborn, the damage to the body can't be instantly healed. In the battle against the extreme E nether glow, the solipsistic has to go all out from the start. He can't hold back at all. However, can he deal with the extreme E nether glow's nihility body in star annihilation? Nihility body, isn't it a Buddha body, astral body? The saintess said, actually, the reason why the extreme E nether glow can't be hit is because it has a Buddha body, astral body. Although the two are somewhat similar, as a yin-yang sacred beast, the extreme E nether glow has a special constitution. Forsee's expedition also said, that's right, our human race's ancient books have records of it. That's the extreme E nether glow's unique constitution, not a class astral body. At this moment, Lu Chen activated his dual heaven's wrath. Pass down the order. Everyone in the Aragami tribe is to provide Mad God with their stats. The saintess said without hesitation. Forsee's expedition also saw the system prompt about the requisitioning of his stats. At the same time, he also saw the description of his weakened state. At this moment, all 9 factions were here. If he were to provide his stats now, it would be extremely dangerous. What surprised him was that the saintess actually did not hesitate to have the tribe's soldiers provide their stats. Behind such decisiveness, did it mean that the Aragami tribe had long since known about Mad God's 2 heavens' wrath and had set up an ambush outside? After all, it was rumored that the Aragami tribe had 300,000 members, while only 10,000 of them had come. The saintess seemed to have seen through Forsee's expedition's worries. She smiled at him and said, General Expedition, there is no need to worry. Brother Lone Tyrant has 2 heavens' wrath. Defiant Demon's wrath forcibly requisitioned his stats. None of the people here will be spared. As for divine wrath, with my 10,000 soldiers here, that fellow's stats should be enough. Moreover, if he has 4 heavens' wrath, he will not be affected. The true experts of each faction will still be able to retain their strength. My Aragami tribe does not have the heart to fight for hegemony. It's just that in the eyes of my Aragami tribe, this solipsistic is worthy of the title of war god. After saying that, the saintess could not help but laugh. This fellow, even his heaven's wrath is so unreasonable. He directly caused 99% of the people in the 9 factions to be weakened. Chapter 701. While the other factions were still in awe of Lu Chen's god-demon symbiosis, Lu Chen had already activated his primal chaos domain. Extreme E nether glow was not in a hurry. Instead, it patiently waited for Lu Chen to activate his full state. This is your strongest state. More or less. Indeed, you are far stronger than a level 4. Unfortunately, in front of me, Extreme E nether glow, you are still nothing. Extreme E nether glow's huge body began to emerge from the ground. For many people, it was their first time seeing Extreme E nether glow's complete form. A huge creature with a human body and a snake tail emerged from the ground. Its upper body was that of a human female covered in scales. Its eyes were slightly closed, but there was a huge heaven's eye on its forehead. The huge snake tail was hundreds of meters long. It was even bigger than a normal dragon. This is a heaven and earth sacred beast. It's actually so huge. Its strength should be far beyond a level 4. It has guarded the level 4 heaven domain gate for thousands of years. No one has ever killed it. Oh my God. It said that the level 5 is a qualitative change. Just the guardian boss is already so abnormal. Then what is the level 5 like? What kind of terrifying world is that? Extreme E domain. In an instant, all the players in the entire battle zone were affected. All attributes decreased by 50%, skill cooldowns increased, reaction speed decreased, and all spiritual skill effects decreased by 70%. At the same time, their spiritual attacks increased by 100%. At night, their attack speed, movement speed, and skill casting speed increased by 200%. The lunar domain couldn't affect Lu Chen, but at that time, it could increase his spiritual power attack. It seemed that the lunar nether glow wanted to strengthen his own body. This girl had never used extreme Yin domain before. He did not expect her to have this trick up her sleeve. Then, solipsistic, the game begins. Extreme Yin nether glow's mouth curled up. Then, its huge body turned into an afterimage and pounced at Lu Chen. So fast. It's hard to imagine that such a huge body can create afterimages. It's too scary. This guy can't be defeated. If he is surrounded by that guy's tail, solipsistic will definitely die. At the same time, Lu Chen shouted, "Heaven's Eye! Buddha body clone! Ghost shadow! Demon doppelganger!" Suddenly, a large number of Lu Chen's clones appeared on the battlefield. Among them, there were ghostly shadows, clones, and even Buddha clones. It was hard to tell who was who. Perhaps there's still hope. If Lone Tyrant can use his Buddha body to trick the other party into using his skills like he did with Qing Jian. Before Sweetheart Protector could finish speaking, Extreme Yin Nether Glow had already pounced towards one of the figures. She only chose one target. Could it be that she can recognize Lone Kuang's true body? Gu Fei widened his eyes, afraid that he would miss even a second of the battle. Perhaps 1 second was enough to determine the outcome of the battle. Above the clouds in the distance, a human man in plain clothes was floating in the air. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate thousands of miles. At this moment, he put his hands behind his back and frowned slightly. "Lu Chen, you've only reached the 4th heaven, yet I'm already forcing you to comprehend the spiritual energy subtlety realm. However, you only have this one chance to win against the Extreme Yin Nether Glow. If you want to protect your family and friends, you have to keep getting stronger. There is no turning back." Lu Chen's 3 Buddha body clones quickly used ghostly shadows, descend to dodge the other party's attack. However, just as he descended, a slight change occurred beneath his feet. Lu Chen seemed to be able to see the violent spiritual energy fluctuations underground. He hurriedly descended once more. Less than a second after he changed his position, the ground beneath the ghostly figure suddenly collapsed. The surrounding earth and stones rapidly compressed towards the collapsed area, filling up the cracks and squeezing them together. That ghostly figure directly disappeared from where he stood. Lu Chen's eyes trembled. Not only was that skill hidden, but it was also extremely fast. Once struck, there was no time to react. In the distance, the Saintess narrowed her eyes. The scene on the battlefield caused her to be moved. There are 2 aspects to the casting speed of skills. One is the shortening of the preparation phase. Normally, a domain shortens the time it takes to store energy. However, Extreme Yin Nether Glow's skill shortens not only the time it takes to store energy, but also the speed of the skill itself. Gu Fei's expression was solemn. Indeed, the change in the ground just now was completed in an instant. If there was even the slightest bit of carelessness, you would have been buried alive. Truly, every step is dangerous. One mistake and you will be doomed eternally. Foresee's expedition took a deep breath. This is just the beginning. The intensity of the battle has already reached a level I have never seen in my life. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen had descended many times. Apart from the collapse of the ground, Extreme Yin Nether Glow's attacks would also protrude out of the ground. She had already mastered both skills. Meanwhile, Lu Chen's ghostly figure doppelgangers were getting fewer and fewer. However, this was not the key. After all, he could use ghostly layers again. It was just that normal people would not be able to withstand such a high-intensity dodging state. In one dodge, Lu Chen was a moment slower and immediately lost a Buddha doppelganger. Earth Coffin Seal. The earth rumbled, and everyone present only felt a tremor. Immediately after, 4 earthen walls rose from all directions. The top of the earthen walls quickly extended, forming a rectangular sealed space, trapping all of Lu Chen's doppelgangers. What kind of skill is this? The range is a few thousand meters. A stone wall is almost a few hundred meters high. Is it directly controlling the entire map? This is too exaggerated. Earth coffin seal, who can escape? The huge stone coffin quickly closed, shrinking toward the center. This is. Demon Venerable Holy War's eyes widened. This is a real trap. The Balrog no longer cared to answer Demon Venerable Holy War's words. At this moment, his mind was blank. Facing such an overbearing skill, his only thought was, Old Kwang. Come out. Triple gate, yes, triple gate teleportation. Demon Venerable Holy War shook his head. Impossible. If this skill can be teleported out with ordinary teleportation skills, then it will be useless. Extreme E Nether Glow must have a way to restrict teleportation skills. The stone coffin shrank extremely quickly, almost as fast as rapid movement. In the blink of an eye, it had shrunk 10 times. At this moment, a loud noise suddenly came from above the stone coffin. Void shattering. Immediately after, a red figure rushed out of the stone coffin. Seeing solipsistic break out of earth coffin seal, Balrog and Devon breathed a sigh of relief. After rushing out of the stone coffin, Lu Chen already had a long weapon in his hand. Tiger descends the mountain. Suppressive fire. Boom 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 boom. 50 consecutive space spirit energy cannons rained down on Extreme E Nether Glow. However, the space spirit energy cannons had no effect on Extreme E Nether Glow. They directly passed through its body and crashed into the ground. Lu Chen blasted open a huge pit in the ground. How high is this boy's attack? It can actually produce such a terrifying effect, directly changing the landscape. He really has some skill. Unfortunately, he still can't touch Extreme E Nether Glow. Xuanling saw Lu Chen's attack miss and her heart tightened. Not good, he still can't hit her. That's right, Big Brother Kwang said that suppressive fire consumes a high amount of spiritual energy. Then, Extreme E Nether Glow will have to use that move. Sure enough, just as Lu Chen stopped, Extreme E Nether Glow roared. Dark Clear Moon Seal. The moon was waxing and waning, and there were waxing and waning. Extreme E Seal used the percentage of spiritual energy consumed by the enemy to cause damage to the area. Not good, Big Brother Kwang, dodge. However, the seal was too difficult to dodge. At this time, Lu Chen didn't have any avatars to protect him, so he was directly hit by the seal. Chapter 702. Lu Chen was hit by the Dark Glow Extreme E Seal. Billions of damage instantly emptied Lu Chen's HP and his body instantly exploded. Before the others could react, Extreme E Nether Glow had already realized something. Buddha Body Doppelganger. You sure are fast to escape. Lu Chen's 2 Buddha Body Doppelganger were both destroyed. At this time, his main body was sealed in the earth coffin. Extreme E Nether Glow roared, dismember corpse and sacrifice the heavens. The entire coffin suddenly exploded. The huge impact shook the mountains and rivers. The earth rumbled. Countless rocks exploded in all directions. The surrounding trees and forests were flattened. Not good, Big Brother Kwang. Xuanling's eyes widened. Her heart almost jumped out of her chest. Dismember corpse and sacrifice the heavens was a low-level version of star annihilation. It was an area attack. All doppelgangers would not be spared from such an explosion. After the coffin exploded, the battlefield was filled with smoke. The surrounding 1,000 meters had been razed to the ground. Uncle Kwang. Devon tightly grabbed his father's hand. His fingers were already embedded in the flame demon's skin. However, the flame demon could not feel it at all. He was desperately searching for solipsistic in the ruins. Old Kwang, you must survive. The smoke dispersed. A red figure slowly stood up from the ruins. He brushed the dust off his body and stared at Extreme E Netherglow. Extreme E Netherglow frowned. Impossible. Even if he has a HP lock skill, why is his body not injured at all? Could it be, he used a high-level immortal pill? Even Extreme E Netherglow could not see the scene inside the earth coffin, so this possibility could not be ruled out. However, even if Lu Chen survived, Solipsistic was undoubtedly at an absolute disadvantage in their first confrontation. Not only was he completely suppressed, but he also did not hit Extreme E Netherglow. It seems that you have disappointed me. Extreme E Netherglow sneered, you did not surprise me. Even if you recover with the help of pills, how long can you last? You are the same as the king of monsters. You are not even an ant in front of me. Lu Chen's eyes were cold. In my eyes, the king of monsters is the same as me. Please do not insult it. Insult? In front of the strong, what is not an insult? As a weakling, you should learn to get used to this. Lu Chen coldly snorted, is that so? You don't seem to have hurt me. Then prove that you're stronger than me first. Stubborn. Extreme E Netherglow said as it pounced towards Lu Chen again. Countless earth spikes and earth collapses assaulted Lu Chen. Lu Chen relied on his cooldown free movement to frantically dodge. Both sides were exchanging blows for the second time, and right off the bat, it was a high-intensity battle of displacement. 9 Void Steps. Psionic Space Cannon. With the help of 9 Void Steps, Lu Chen began to attempt to counterattack. However, the Space Cannon's attacks all missed, and the Space Cannon's attacks bombarded the ground, causing massive craters to appear one after another. Old Brother Lone Tyrant Space Cannon's damage is indeed frightening, but, if it can't hit anyone, then no matter how high its damage is, it will still be futile. The Holy Maiden said anxiously. If we don't break the Nihility body soon, Extreme E Netherglow will use Star Annihilation. At this moment, an old man beside 4C's expedition frowned slightly. This person had hidden his ID and did not have a military rank. However, to be able to stand beside 4C's expedition, his identity must not be ordinary. If my guess is correct, Solipsistic's attacks are not random. He is looking for Extreme E Netherglow's weakness. The moment these words came out, everyone looked at this old man in surprise. Gufei asked curiously, may I ask who you are? The old man waved his hand, I have already retired for many years. You don't need to know my identity. I never thought that after so many years, I would be able to see such a young talent appear in the human race. His psionic cannon's attacks have practically covered Extreme E Netherglow's entire body, from its human body to its snake tail. He is probing for its weakness step by step. The old man narrowed his eyes, to be able to not give up in such an intense battle and even maintain a calm mind. Expedition, your eyes are not bad. If this child can survive today, he might be able to achieve great things in the future. Master. Brother Lone Tyrant's temperament is indeed extraordinary. 4C's expedition called out, Master, and the group felt their scalps go numb. The Great Sky General, 4C's expedition's master. You are, the legendary Great Sky General, Human Emperor Xian Yuanzi. Xian Yuanzi shook his head, it's all in the past. There are always talents in every generation. If you want to count outstanding people, you have to look at the present. What I'm afraid of now is that Extreme E Netherglow is a yin-yang sacred beast and has a special void body. I'm afraid that it really has no weakness. On the battlefield, the two figures were already extremely fast. Gradually, Lu Chen was once again at a disadvantage. Extreme E Netherglow could attack without restraint, but Lu Chen had to dodge and attack at the same time. This consumed a lot of energy. It was already very difficult for a human to maintain such a high level of energy. You still haven't found my weakness. Extreme E Netherglow laughed wildly, you inferior races will never be able to understand the meaning of a perfect body. This game has already become somewhat boring. Since that's the case, I'll send you on your last journey. Under the opponent's crazy suppression, Lu Chen's range of movement became smaller and smaller. It was inevitable that he would be surrounded by Extreme Een Netherglow's huge snake tail. When Extreme Een Netherglow's head and tail connected, everyone, including those who had nothing to do with Lu Chen, felt their hearts tighten. Not good, he's surrounded. Extreme Een Netherglow is going to use that move. Sigh, actually, the battle just now made me look at that kid in a new light. But now it seems that no one can defeat Extreme Een Netherglow in the end. What a pity. After Extreme Een Netherglow surrounded Lu Chen, it no longer chased after Lu Chen. Its huge body formed a circle, head and tail connected, leisurely circling around. At this time, no matter how the solipsistic attacked, she just looked at the prey that was already in her mouth. Ha ha ha, solipsistic, don't struggle. You will die if you meet me. You dare to challenge the rules of the Jiutian. Then you only have one path, and that is to be destroyed. At this time, Lu Chen also put away the spirit god cannon and stood in the circle of Extreme Een Netherglow. That move was coming. The moment that would decide life and death was coming. Taking a deep breath, Lu Chen suddenly closed his eyes and only opened the heaven's eye. When the spectators saw this, there was an uproar. The solipsistic has already given up. That's right, a move like star annihilation can destroy heaven and earth. Who can block it? In the end, it's still over. I thought he would be able to make some waves. The Flame Devil's wife had already turned her head. She couldn't bear to watch anymore. She covered Devon's eyes. Devon, don't look. Devon's eyes were full of tears. He pushed away his mother's hand and said resolutely, "No, Mom, I want to see. Let me remember how Uncle Kwang died in battle. One day, I will avenge Uncle Kwang." The Flame Devil held back his tears. "Yes, watch carefully. One day, we will avenge our good brother." For Xi's expedition let out a long sigh. Xiao Kuang, Jinghua Yanran's face was already full of tears. That young man she could only look up to, had he given up? No, that was not his personality. But now, did he still have a chance to turn the tables? What? You finally figured it out. You're starting to give up struggling. Extreme Een Netherglow roared arrogantly, "I, Extreme Een Netherglow, am not someone a mere human can challenge. Solipsistic, go to hell." Extreme Een Star Annihilation. The ground under Lu Chen's feet shook. Everyone knew that the next attack would be terrifying enough to destroy heaven and earth. So far, no one could resist it. However, the man in red who was in the center of the star annihilation skill was unexpectedly sitting cross-legged. Someone heard his faint voice. Everything in the world has spiritual energy. Even the most humble creature has a reason to exist. If you think I don't have the qualifications to exist, I will kill you. If the heavens think I don't have the qualifications to exist, I will defy the heavens. Chapter 703. Within the vast area surrounded by the Extreme Een Netherglow, the ground immediately collapsed, and a torrential pillar of spiritual energy erupted from the ground. Endless black-purple spiritual energy, like a volcanic eruption, crazily spewed from the bottom to the top with an earth-shattering momentum. Here, the spiritual energy cleansed everything in the space. The violent spiritual energy seemed to have no end as it rushed straight to the sky, stirring up the clouds in the sky and breaking through the clouds. Everyone felt that the world was collapsing. In front of this move, was there anything that could survive? If it wasn't for the Extreme Een Netherglow, it could have gone even further. Oh my God, star annihilation has completely exceeded the concept of a heaven-level technique. This is an invincible existence. Actually, as long as the Extreme Een Netherglow has this move, who can really defeat it? The extreme yin nether glow is worthy of being a yin and yang sacred beast. This kind of power is truly heaven-defying. Solipsistic can't survive this endless eruption. Xuan Ling's body was trembling. Although they still had a glimmer of hope in their hearts, they had been together with Kuang Gu for nearly a year. No matter what kind of opponent, even the rage god war soul, Kuang Gu could survive in desperate situations. However, when she saw star annihilation, her rationality told her that the last glimmer of hope was very small. Kuang Gu. Xuan Ling's eyes were already filled with tears. The Balrog clenched his fists tightly. In his heart, he always thought that Kuang Gu had to make a one-year agreement with the extreme yin nether glow to save him. Kuang Gu, I, the Balrog, swear that even if I have to spend my life, I will avenge you. The black and purple spiritual energy cleansed everything in the area. Even the earth and rocks could only turn into dust here. However, at this moment, Shenyuan Zi's eyes suddenly widened, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. No, impossible. Impossible. This is impossible. Senior Shenyuan Zi, what did you say? Look, inside the star annihilation, there's a faint spiritual energy ball. Everyone hurriedly looked inside the range of star annihilation. There seemed to be a faint area that was different from the surrounding black and purple spiritual energy. In the demon race's array core, Devon opened the dark eye of the gods. He seemed to see more clearly than others. Dad, Uncle Kuang is inside. What? Let me take a look at your eye of the gods. The flame demon took a look. Sure enough, within the star destruction, there was a figure sitting upright within the pale-colored ball of spiritual qi. No matter how the surrounding spiritual qi washed over him, he remained as still as a mountain. How did you do it? Hiss. Balrog, lend me the eye of the dark gods. The Holy War Demon Emperor snatched the eye of the dark gods and opened it to take a closer look. No way, that's impossible. How was it possible for someone to come out unscathed from such a powerful skill? Is it an illusion? It might have been an illusion if only one of them saw it, but now that all three of them had seen it, unless the eye of the dark gods was broken, the one who saw it the clearest was naturally the extreme yin nether glow. At this moment, the heaven's eye on the woman's forehead was wide open. Impossible. How could you not be affected by star annihilation? This is impossible. Extreme yin nether glow's shock instantly made everyone present dumbstruck. What? The lunar nether glow said that the solipsistic is still alive. What's going on? Shouldn't his body and soul have already been destroyed? No one can survive such a skill. Oh my God, I saw it. That guy is really still alive. Impossible, that's absolutely impossible. What everyone said the most was, impossible. In their minds, the scene in front of them would never happen. However, Lu Chen had done what they thought was impossible. Endless spiritual energy gushed up into the sky from below. Inside the huge spiritual energy pillar, Lu Chen sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. He was as still as water. At this moment, he didn't seem to be in the range of star annihilation. Instead, he was sitting on the divine bathing platform under the Milky Way waterfall. Everything in the world had spiritual energy. Skills, on the other hand, were merely the extraction of spiritual energy and the use of it in other forms. So, what was the difference between star annihilation and the Milky Way waterfall? The purple light pillar around him had become flowing water in the heaven's eye. As long as he used the corresponding spiritual energy to gently push the water away, the water would flow past him. While resisting star annihilation, Lu Chen used the spiritual energy storm rhythmically to replenish his spiritual core. As long as star annihilation didn't stop, his spiritual core would also be endless. For a full 5 minutes, the terrifying lunar star annihilation didn't even touch Lu Chen. This state was very comfortable. If not for the fact that Lu Chen still remembered that he wasn't really in the Milky Way waterfall, he would have taken off his clothes and taken a shower. After getting used to it, Lu Chen slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, he was no longer frightened by the terrifying scene around him. His eyes only saw the surface. When he could feel the microscopic spiritual energy, star annihilation was no longer scary. He began to stand up and slightly reduce his spiritual energy so that he could use the impact of star annihilation to stand in the void. Then, he began to walk around inside star annihilation. The lunar nether fluorescent eyes almost popped out. Not only was that guy unharmed, but he was also walking around freely inside star annihilation. You. Solipsistic, I don't believe you can take on star annihilation. Lu Chen stood inside star annihilation and looked indifferently at the lunar nether fluorescent. Lunar nether fluorescent, you call this star annihilation? Just this? The lunar nether fluorescent almost vomited blood. Solipsistic was looking down on its sure-kill skill. The surrounding people's minds were blank. That guy was inside star annihilation as if nothing had happened. He was even chatting with the lunar nether fluorescent. Not only was he chatting, but he was also mocking the lunar nether fluorescent eye. Star annihilation was such a powerful skill, but he asked a question in such a clever way, making it seem like a weak skill. I've lived for so long, but I've never seen such an arrogant person, solipsistic, he's too strong. I still don't know what happened. Am I hallucinating because I've been under too much pressure from the recent battles? Who's going to slap me awake? Brother, this isn't a hallucination. It's just that reality is more ridiculous than a hallucination. Is he really a human? Why would there be such a monster in the human race? Star annihilation had been going on for 10 minutes, but Lu Chen was still unscathed. The lunar nether fluorescent eye's expression suddenly changed. I understand now. It's spiritual energy refinement. Thinking of this ability, the lunar nether fluorescent eye could no longer remain calm. Impossible, that's not something a fourth layer of heaven should have. Lu Chen smiled. You know quite a lot. Actually, I didn't know what this ability was called at first. You were the one who told me just now. Spiritual energy refinement. It's quite appropriate. Impossible. Spiritual energy refinement is an existence that subverts all special effects below the fifth layer of heaven. There are no related records below the fifth layer of heaven. You can't possibly learn this realm. Lu Chen smiled. About this, I comprehended it myself when I was bathing. Xianyuan Zi, Jinghui Yanran, foresees expedition, Beishue Gufei, Dongfang Ji, and a large group of people almost collapsed. This guy comprehended an ability that shouldn't exist. And he comprehended it while bathing? What kind of monster was this guy? Chapter 704. No one would have thought that Solipsistic could actually withstand Extreme E Nether Glow's ultimate skill, Star's Annihilation. Not only that, but he could even move freely in Star's Annihilation. Extreme E Nether Glow was somewhat helpless. You bastard. However, so what if Star's Annihilation can't kill you? You and I still have other methods. Besides, you can't kill me. Inside Star's Annihilation, Lu Chen's gaze was fixed on the ground. As he became more and more accustomed to the strength of the spiritual energy inside Star's Annihilation, his vision seemed to become clearer. When you stare into the abyss is also staring at you. This sentence seemed to be more than just a famous saying in the current situation. It was as if there was something in the abyss watching him. This feeling was exactly the same as when Lu Chen first saw Extreme E Nether Glow's heavenly eye. Could it be that there was another Extreme E Nether Glow underground? Lu Chen suddenly realized. Perhaps the Extreme E Nether Glow in front of him wasn't the real Extreme E Nether Glow. Otherwise, why would there be an eye underground? When he was challenging the Heaven Punishing Tower, the boss on the 7th floor was a puppet master. At first, Lu Chen didn't notice it. It was only when Mei Yang reminded him that he killed the puppet master. That dangerous situation left a deep impression on Lu Chen. Previously, Lu Chen had already tested it with the space cannon. The extreme E Nether Glow's body couldn't be hit at all. He also used spiritual energy to check, but he didn't even find the extreme E Nether Glow's spirit pill. It was fine if its body was empty, but it was abnormal to not have a spirit pill. Its skills consumed a huge amount of spiritual energy. How could it activate without a spirit pill? Originally, Lu Chen was frowning because of this problem, but who would have thought that the answer was actually in Star's annihilation? The creature underground was the master of extreme E Nether Glow, or the main body. It was impossible to determine for the time being, but there was no doubt that the key to solving extreme E Nether Glow was the guy hiding underground. Thinking of this, Lu Chen looked at extreme E Nether Glow. Hey, little earthworm, you just said that the game has become boring. I agree. So, prepare to die. At this time, Lunar Nether Glow also lost some confidence in her heart. Solipsistic had already grasped the spirit chi minute subtlety, so what else was impossible? You can't kill me. I have the nihility body. Lu Chen coldly snorted. The Taiji gives birth to yin and yang. If there is a void, then there is a real one. You have the nihility body, but I believe that there is another one. After saying that, Lu Chen grabbed the limitless God-Fiend sword with one hand. His entire body went against the flow of Star's annihilation's powerful spiritual energy and rushed into the abyss. What is he doing? Guo Yanran exclaimed. Xianyuanzi's breathing began to quicken. He seems to have found a way to kill the extreme E Nether Glow. Maybe he can create a miracle. Everyone's hearts were in their throats. Solipsistic was finally going to launch an all-out attack. From extreme E Nether Glow's rare nervous expression, perhaps he was right. Whether or not they could kill the lunar shadow depended on this. Lu Chen went against the flow and rushed into the bottomless abyss. That eye grew bigger and bigger, with a look of disbelief. Impossible, how did you find me? After rushing down 1,000 meters, the giant eye was already in front of him. And behind that giant eye was a creature that was extremely similar to the extreme E Nether Glow. It had a human body and a snake tail. Its body was huge, but the human body was that of a man. Lu Chen immediately understood. There were a total of 2 sacred beasts, the extreme Yang Illumination and the extreme E Nether Glow. All along, the one that moved above was the extreme E Nether Glow, and this one was most likely the extreme Yang Illumination. One Yin and one Yang, one void and one real. If he hadn't comprehended the spiritual energy subtlety, then Lu Chen wouldn't have been able to survive the Star's annihilation. If he didn't survive, then he wouldn't have noticed the abyss and the extreme Yang Illumination hidden in the abyss. Therefore, it wasn't unreasonable to say that the extreme E Nether Glow was invincible. Because its weakness was hidden too deep, it was too inconceivable. So that's how it is. Lu Chen's heart was like a mirror. Under the spiritual energy subtlety state, Lu Chen could clearly see the extreme Yang Illumination's huge spiritual core. Obviously, this guy had a weakness. Interestingly, the extreme E Nether Glow was extremely fast, its combat power was off the charts, and it had the incorporeal body, but the extreme Yang Illumination couldn't move at all. It could only watch as Lu Chen approached. Impossible, you couldn't have discovered me. Lu Chen sneered, unfortunately, I seem to like doing the impossible. Go die, sacred beast. Lu Chen angrily shouted, fierce tiger descends the mountain. Because Lu Chen's spiritual energy storm had to ensure his survival in the Star's annihilation, Lu Chen chose fierce tiger descends the mountain, which didn't consume too much spiritual energy. Of course, fierce tiger descends the mountain's damage wasn't low. It was just that the burst wasn't as terrifying as void shattering and firepower suppression. Lu Chen rushed towards the extreme yang illumination. Minus 280 million, double critical hit, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, minus 420 million, triple critical hit, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, immune. Extreme yang illumination was immune to the earth element damage of the Kuei Ox bloodline, but it was still immune to physical attacks and poisons. A string of numbers crazily appeared. In addition, there was dizziness, silence, speed reduction, mana burn, spatial distortion, and other abnormal statuses. I thought you guys were really invincible, but you're only at this level. Lu Chen's anger was completely vented on the extreme yang illumination. After the extreme yang illumination was dizzied, even the star's annihilation stopped. It seemed that this skill was used by this guy. With the star's annihilation gone, Lu Chen was truly free. Come, I'll bring you up. Let everyone see how invincible the so-called invincible extreme nether glow is. Universe annihilation, sky shaking. Lu Chen instantly flashed to where the extreme yang illumination was and fiercely attacked upwards. Listen attentively could attract the enlarged little furball over, not to mention the specialized sky shaking skill. No matter how big the extreme yang illumination was, it was still blasted into the sky by Lu Chen's punch. However, the height of this sky shaking skill was still a bit low. But now that Lu Chen's skill was in the cooldown period, he continued to use sky shaking and directly blasted the extreme yang illumination out of the ground 1,000 meters below ground. Solipsistic has been down for a while, I wonder how he's doing. What's underground? Is the extreme nether glow a puppet? That's impossible. This is really worrying me to death. Just as everyone was anxiously waiting, they suddenly realized that the star's annihilation skill had stopped. Then, the extreme nether glow began to lose HP, minus 280 million, double critical hit, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, immune. Minus 420 million, triple critical hit, minus 420 million, poisoned, minus 4. 2 million, poisoned, immune. What's going on? Why is the extreme nether glow losing HP? Solipsistic isn't here at all. The extreme nether glow is actually losing HP. This is simply unheard of. Xianyuan Zi's eyes widened as he took a few deep breaths. Only then did he calm down a little. Heavens, that madman found a way to kill the extreme nether glow. Chapter 705. With a boom, a huge figure flew out of the abyss. A creature similar to extreme nether glow was blasted into the air and then fell to the ground. When people saw the creature clearly, they were shocked. What creature is this? It looks like extreme nether glow, but it's not the same. It seems to be a male and female. Could it be extreme yang illumination? Many people reacted. After all, when it came to sacred beasts, only extreme yang illumination and extreme nether glow were equally famous. With a male upper body, it should be extreme yang illumination. But I've never heard of extreme yang illumination at level 4. After being continuously attacked by Lu Chen, extreme yang illumination had no power to fight back. Furthermore, extreme nether glow could only watch and did not dare to interfere. She seemed to be very afraid of getting close to extreme yang illumination, but she was also very concerned about extreme yang illumination's life and death. Solipsistic, you. Assistant. At this time, extreme yang illumination's HP was almost empty. Lu Chen could kill him at any time. Extreme yang illumination's I looked at nether glow. Sorry, nether glow, I was discovered by him. He found your weakness. Lu Chen also noticed that extreme nether glow's HP was almost empty. He quickly understood that these two guys should be sharing damage. Attacking Extreme E Nether Glow did not cause any damage, so as long as Extreme Yang Illumination hit underground, he would not receive any damage. But it was different on the other hand. Extreme Yang Illumination had a physical body and could be attacked. When Extreme Yang Illumination was attacked, Extreme E Nether Glow would receive the same amount of damage. Lu Chen snorted. Extreme E Nether Glow, looks like your intangible form is not invincible. Between you and me, the victor has been decided. After saying that, Lu Chen's figure suddenly disappeared. With a void shattering, he directly blasted Extreme Yang Illumination. -4.5 billion. With this punch, Extreme Yang Illumination's body was directly blasted into a shocking hole. Half of his body was blasted away. Extreme E Nether Glow suffered the same damage. Half of its huge body was directly blasted away, and its HP was instantly emptied. Extreme Yang Illumination was instantly killed, but Extreme E Nether Glow was still alive. It might be the effect of some life-saving skill. However, her physical body was damaged. Even if she had a single breath left, she no longer had the strength to fight. Two saint beasts, one alive and one dead, fell in front of Lu Chen. All of a sudden, all the members of the top 10 forces in the war zone were frightened out of their wits. He won. Solipsistic, won. So the Extreme E Nether Glow isn't invincible, its weakness is the Extreme Yang Illumination. If he couldn't find the Extreme Yang Illumination, then it would be impossible to kill the Extreme E Nether Glow. And once you find Extreme Yang's Illumination, it will have almost no ability to fight back and can be easily killed. Be that as it may, who can survive for more than 10 minutes under stars of annihilation? Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to find the Extreme Yang Illumination. Solipsistic is too strong. Lu Chen removed all of his statuses and slowly walked in front of the stricter Extreme E Nether Glow. Before dying, the Extreme E Nether Glow actually opened its eyes. It was a pair of eyes no different from an ordinary person's. She kept looking at the fallen Extreme Yang Illumination with a complicated expression in her eyes. Lu Chen wasn't in a hurry to make his move. Looking at the Extreme E Nether Glow's affectionate gaze, Lu Chen asked gently, "Is he your lover?" "He and I were born at the same time, but we can't get close to each other. We have to be at least 500 meters apart. Otherwise, the two of us will fuse into nothingness." Lu Chen's heart tightened. The two of them were existences of two extremes. However, while inheriting a huge power, they were also forced to separate and were destined to never be together. Solipsistic, I didn't expect you to really do it. Perhaps to us, annihilation is the final release. Lu Chen let out a long sigh. Along the way, Lu Chen felt more and more that even opponents had their own stories. Even someone like the butcher might have another side that no one knew. "Are you sighing for me?" The Extreme E Nether Glow looked at Lu Chen. Lu Chen nodded, "You can never be together, but the connection between you is so tight that you can't completely separate. This is a kind of torture for anyone. You are also pitiful people." Ha ha, are you sympathizing with the two sacred beasts? Solipsistic, you are really an interesting person. Are you sympathizing with your enemy? Lu Chen didn't say anything. After Extreme E Nether Glow finished laughing, he let out a long sigh. It was as if he had just passed through 1,000 years of time. Actually, we're inferior to the average person. Lone Tyrant, I'm very curious as to what kind of person you are. Since you sympathize with us, you won't be merciful. You are like a saint who cares about the world, but when you make a move, you are like a peerless devil without any mercy. Lu Chen said indifferently, I am only sympathizing with your past, but that doesn't mean I will be merciful. You are my enemy. If I don't make a move, I will be the one who dies in the end. And before I reach the place I want to reach, I will not fall. The Extreme E Nether Glow stared at Lu Chen for a long time, then said, "So, you are more pitiful than us. I believe that you are more and more aware of how difficult the path you are persevering in is. And on this path, you are destined to move forward alone. No one can help you, no one can share your success and failure." Lu Chen smiled faintly. "You're wrong. I'm not alone along the way. I have many friends, and I believe that I will have more friends in the future." After saying that, Lu Chen looked up. The human races Shuangling, Gufei, Yanran, Dongfangji, Moran, Nantian, for Xi's expedition, the demon races Balrog family, the Holy War Demon Lord, the Desolate God Tribe Saintis, and so many tribe members who smiled at him. There were even more people, such as Cowherd, Mountain Strength, Green Shirt, and his friends from Earth. Along the way, he had more and more friends. They treated each other with absolute sincerity, they were friends in life and death situations. They had faced many difficulties together, but they had also walked through it together. "Interesting, you have given me too many surprises." The extreme E Netherglow's voice became weaker and weaker. "Very good, I am almost at my limit. As my last battle guarding the fourth heaven, there is no doubt that you have gained my recognition. Solipsistic, you are already qualified to enter the fifth heaven. And thank you for allowing me and Zhu Zhao to finally be free. It is a pity that I cannot see you go further. I do not know how far you can go, and whether you can reach the place you want to go." Lu Chen took a deep breath. "I will do my best." Hearing Lu Chen's words, the extreme E Netherglow slowly closed its eyes. 2 notifications popped up in Lu Chen's system. Killed Extreme E Netherglow, 4th Heaven Domain Boss. Killed Extreme Yang Illumination, 4th Heaven Hidden Heaven Domain Boss. Chapter 706. Killed Extreme E Netherglow, 4th Heaven Domain Boss. Obtained 10 billion spiritual energy points. Obtained 4th grade advancement 1 talent fragment x 100. Obtained 4th grade advancement 1 star evolution points x 100. Obtained Holy Beast Core x 10, killed Extreme Yang Illumination, 4th Heaven Domain Boss. Obtained 10 billion spiritual energy points. Obtained 4th grade advancement 1 talent fragment x 100. Obtained 4th grade advancement 1 star evolution points x 100. Obtained Holy Beast Core x 20, triggered by greed. Everyone watched as Lu Chen leveled up. Leveling up was secondary. The main thing was that when this guy came to fight Extreme E Netherglow, why didn't he level up first? What the hell is leveling up after fighting? Ding, obtained item. Seeing the last line of words, Lu Chen's entire body trembled. He was so excited that tears almost flowed out of his eyes. The Heaven Domain Boss finally dropped equipment. He had already defeated the Heaven Domain Boss several times without dropping anything. Now he was using the triple gate from the first Heaven Domain Boss. If it wasn't a quest, then it was a special boss. This time, it finally dropped something. However, the others were even more dumbfounded. Since no one had ever defeated Extreme E Netherglow, naturally no one could obtain the items it dropped. In the end, Solipsistic had killed 2 holy beasts and obtained double the items. Extreme E Netherglow and Extreme Yang Illumination dropped equipment. It can't be, right? What kind of equipment is it? It can't be a divine artifact, right? It's impossible for it to be a divine artifact, but it might drop a pseudo-divine artifact or a half-divine artifact. Even if it's an immortal artifact, it would at least be a peak immortal artifact. Oh, that's right, it might also drop a super strong skill book. At this time, Lu Chen was also excited. He was carefully looking at the items he obtained. Extreme E Netherglow dropped a fragment of the demon god's lotus heart. This was the last fragment. Now, Lu Chen had already gathered the demon god's lotus heart. He only needed to combine it. Other than that, Extreme E Netherglow only dropped one item. Yin Yang Holy Beast Remnant Soul Stone. You can choose to summon Extreme E Nether Glow's Remnant Soul to help you in battle or adopt the Extreme E Nether Glow Infant Holy Beast. Infant Extreme E Nether Glow cannot exist by itself. It must exist with Extreme E Young Illumination Infant Holy Beast. As for the Extreme Young Illumination, it destroyed a piece of Remnant Soul Stone and a piece of Beast God Synthesis Stone. Holy shit, it can't be, right? Only 2 Holy Beast Cubs dropped. This is too lousy. Lu Chen was greatly disappointed. Such a powerful Heaven Domain boss should at least drop a pseudo-divine equipment. In the end, it only dropped 2 Soul Remnant Stones. He had also raised a lot of battle pets. Those Divine Beast battle pets rarely had a chance to fight. Now, he had 2 more. Lu Chen felt a headache when he thought about the massive amount of materials they would need to grow. Lu Chen was greatly disappointed by the items dropped by the level 4 domain boss. Sighing, Lu Chen didn't have a choice for the time being. He thought that he might as well choose the Holy Beast Remnant Soul, which was more practical than the cub. However, when Lu Chen's gaze stopped on the Beast God Synthesis Stone, he was suddenly stunned. Beast God Synthesis Stone, Duality Sacred Beast, for ultimate mythical beasts, for ultimate ferocious beasts, for ultimate mythical 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 beasts, Duality Sacred Beasts, a total of 18 mythical beasts. When all of them reach adulthood, the Beast God Synthesis Stone catalyzes them to synthesize a Beast God. The Beast God will have to be retrained from a cub, but its attributes will be much higher than those of all battle pets. It can also be extracted. A thunderbolt exploded in Lu Chen's mind. The Beast God's attributes were far better than any battle pets. That wasn't the most intimidating part. The most intimidating part was the last 2 words on the synthetic stone. It can be extracted. Lu Chen had obtained countless pieces of equipment, but only a few of them could be cashed out. Immortal Grade Mount Tai Shua, Immortal Grade Reincarnation Sarira, which was also known as the Azura Sarira, Immortal Grade Heaven Observation Eye, Immortal Martial Soul Cannon, and this Beast God. The others were all equipment, only the Beast God was a battle pet. What would a battle pet that could be extracted from the battlefield be like? Just thinking about it made Lu Chen's blood boil. At first, Lu Chen wasn't interested in the Beast God. But when he learned that the Beast God could be extracted, his attitude changed 180 degrees. He began to reevaluate the value of the Beast God. It was needless to say how difficult it was to obtain those battle pets. Even Yanran of the National Guard only obtained the Black Flame Dragon Emperor, which was made from 4 ferocious beasts. And Lu Chen had obtained all the mythical beasts. Although it was difficult, many people still had mythical beast battle pets. The most difficult part of creating a Beast God was obviously the Divine Beast and the Beast God Synthesis Stone. At least so far, he was the only one who had the Divine Beast and the Divine Beast. Even if the others combined all their mythical beast battle pets, they still wouldn't be able to create a Beast God. Lu Chen was the only one who could create a Beast God. It just so happens that I can still create those little guys. Otherwise, their presence will become less and less noticeable. Generally speaking, the items dropped by a Heaven Domain boss would also have a strong effect in the next Heaven Domain. Judging from the difficulty of creating a Beast God, perhaps the Beast God will be my trump card in the 5th heaven. Also, battle pets have equipment and skills that have incomparable growth potential. This means that the 2 items dropped by the Divine Beast are actually more useful than a pseudo-divine artifact, demigod artifact, or a heaven rank advanced skill. Thinking of this, Lu Chen made up his mind to create a Beast God. The corpses of the Divine Beast attracted each other and then disintegrated. They weren't together when they were alive, but they finally merged after death. Looking at the starry sky, Lu Chen shook his head. This was his final destination. The battle with the lunar nether glow was finally over. Lu Chen lowered his head and looked around. At this moment, the war zone was already in a mess. There were huge pits everywhere, probably left by his space spirit energy cannon. There was a huge abyss in the middle of the war zone. It was a bottomless pit left by the lunar nether glow star annihilation. It hadn't been filled in time, but the divine beast had died in battle. It seemed that it could only become a unique scenery here. At this moment, Lu Chen looked around. The people of the 10 major forces all looked at the human male in the battlefield. At this moment, the saintess suddenly used the great cauldron talisman and said in a loud voice, "Congratulations to the mad god for killing the divine beast." Everyone looked at each other. Not far away, the human camp shouted in unison, "Congratulations to the mad god for killing the divine beast." Following that, the devil race and the other camps all shouted in unison. On one hand, everyone was intimidated by Lu Chen's strength. During the battle, Lu Chen was decisive and didn't hesitate at all. In addition, there were rumors about the solipsistic. He was a cold-faced demon who never showed mercy to his enemies. Who would dare to provoke such a person? On the other hand, the solipsistic broke the 1,000-year-old legend and defeated the divine beast with his own strength. He was worthy of the title of Mad God. To put it bluntly, with the solipsistic's current strength, who would dare to offend him in the 9 camps? In an instant, the 10,000 races submitted. Gu Fei shook his head. This guy is obviously ridiculously strong, but he didn't let his sister come to watch the battle. If Wild Wave Yi came and saw this scene, she would worship her brother even more. Mo Rant's eyes flashed with the light of Zihao. Not to mention his sister, even I feel extremely proud. Among us humans, there are also people who can make the 10,000 races worship them. On the other hand, Zhenghua Yanran had a complicated look in her eyes. Although she was happier than anyone that the solipsistic could survive and was proud of him to see the 10,000 races worship him, she didn't know why, but she had a feeling. It seemed that she would never be able to catch up with that person's back. Chapter 707. Lu Chen spread his wings and flew into the air. His gaze swept across the entire battlefield, and his voice resounded throughout the battlefield. From being a wanted criminal to being worshipped by thousands of races, Lu Chen was already at the peak of the 4th heaven. Today, he could finally be the one to set the rules. From today onwards, all races below the 4th heaven are free to develop. Physical injuries are not allowed in racial wars. Do you have any objections? The leaders of the 9 factions all looked at the man in the air in surprise. They never thought that the solipsistic would actually change the rules of the 3rd and 4th heavens. I don't agree. A titan immediately shouted. This is unfair to the stronger races. In the Jiutian, the strong are respected. Why should we, the stronger races, share resources with the weaker races? You humans are weak. That's why you suggested this change. However, we, the Titan race, have the strength to swallow you humans. Without physical injuries, you can't kill the humans. Lu Chen looked coldly at the Titan race man. If I didn't hear wrongly, you said that the humans are weak and unworthy to share the heavens with the Titan race. Many people started to respond to the Titan race man. We are speaking the truth. Although you, the solipsistic, are strong, do the humans have someone like you? Do you think you can change the fate of an entire race alone? You don't need to suffer physical injuries. You humans have so many people. That's your advantage. Lu Chen's eyes flashed coldly. Humans are weak. I think you have not understood your position. I will give you one chance to change your decision. Everyone who disagrees with my suggestion, attack me with all your strength. I will give you time to transfer those who are not affected. After 10 minutes of attack, I will ask again. The foreign races all looked at each other. The solipsistic had the intention to change the rules of the 4th heaven and the lower heavens, but they did not want to change. The contradiction between the two was fundamental. If it was a one-on-one battle, none of them would be a match for the solipsistic. How could they touch someone who could kill the two sacred beasts? However, if so many of them attacked together, the situation might be different. Start calling people now, Lu Chen said calmly. The Titan expert gritted his teeth and said loudly, everyone, we will never be on equal footing with the human race. Solipsistic might be able to withstand star annihilation, but he might not be able to withstand all of our attacks. Everyone, immediately teleport those who are unaffected over here. Not long after, a large number of people poured in from the back of each camp. These people weren't the only ones who took action. Even the Titan giants, who had been weakened, gave themselves a special buff and started off with a highly explosive skill, shattering the mountains and rivers. When the others saw this, they no longer hesitated and attacked one after another. In an instant, tens of thousands of attacks simultaneously rushed towards Lu Chen in midair. There were all kinds of skills from different professions. It was too much for the eyes to take in. However, Lu Chen's body glowed faintly, and all the skills were neutralized. The higher the level of the skill, the greater the proportion of spiritual energy. Even if the arrows of an archer seem to be a physical attack, there must be spiritual energy in it. And Lu Chen, who had mastered spiritual energy, could be said to be in an invincible position. Tens of thousands of skills were still unable to hit Lu Chen. This. Could it be that he has learned the nihility body? Impossible. It should be the spiritual energy that the lunar nether glow mentioned before. He relied on this skill to withstand star annihilation. My God, all the skills are ineffective. Then how can we fight? Spiritual energy is too overbearing. Xianyuanzi frowned slightly, it seems that the lunar nether glow was right. Spiritual energy can subvert all the skills below the fifth celestial layer, Beishue Gufei hurriedly asked, Senior Xianyuanzi, doesn't that mean that the solipsistic is invincible within the fourth celestial layer? Xianyuanzi took a deep breath, that's right. Within the fourth celestial layer, unless there are some extremely rare and special existences, there is nothing that can threaten him. After all, Xianyuanzi was experienced and knowledgeable. There were indeed some special existences within the fourth celestial layer. For example, the little furball, the limitless demon sword, these things were things that even the Jyotian could not control, so they did not completely follow the Jyotian rules. But other than these exceptions, ordinary skills, and special effects were already ineffective against Lu Chen. That kid is finally standing at the peak of the fourth celestial layer. Dongfang Ji sighed, invincible within the fourth celestial layer. I have never heard of anyone who could reach this level. For a full 10 minutes, Lu Chen allowed countless experts to join forces and attack him. He was still suspended in the sky, not moving at all. Impossible, we can't hit him at all. How can there be such an unimaginable thing? This has already violated the Jyotian rules. This person is already invincible. Devon looked curiously at Uncle Kwang and tugged at his father's sleeve. Dad, can I try? The flame demon actually wanted to try and see how that guy did it. But now was a matter of position, so he could not be as childish as Devon. Nonsense, when your Uncle Kwang comes back, let him spar with you alone. If you fight now, it means that you oppose Uncle Kwang's suggestion. Do you object? Devon hurriedly shook his head, of course I don't object. Uncle Kwang is a human, but no one is stronger than him. I am proud of Uncle Kwang, so I definitely won't kill a human. The Balrog smiled faintly. The little guy had been subtly influenced by Old Kwang. Old Kwang was broad-minded. He didn't care about the human race. In his eyes, all races could be friends. Demons, insectoids, nature elves. Just like what he had said before, Old Kwang cared about the common people. The flame demon patted Devon's head and said, Devon, your Uncle Kwang changed the situation of the Qingyun realm today, but in the future, this piece will still need you juniors to protect it. Dad, I will definitely work hard. I want to be like Uncle Kwang and dominate the world. In the Oxhead clan's camp, the Oxhead clan's father and daughter, who had teamed up with Lu Chen and Shuang Ling, were also present. Xiao Lan was already stunned by Lu Chen's strength. "Dad, that guy, is he really in the same team as us? He's too strong." 100,000 people besieged him, but he didn't suffer any injuries. The Oxhead clan's brother shook his head and sighed, "Unbelievable. He has already reached a height that we can't reach. He killed the Yin Yang sacred beast, and the extreme Yin nether glow can already destroy a race. The solipsistic is even stronger than it. How can these people still not understand? The human race is no longer the weakest race. Because of the solipsistic, the human race can already rule any heaven in the Qingyun realm. From now on, the situation of the world will be completely overturned." 10 minutes later, Lu Chen shouted in a low voice, "10 minutes is up." With this shout, no one dared to make a move. In fact, in less than 10 minutes, many people had already stopped in despair. That guy was simply an invincible existence. Lu Chen's voice sounded again, "All right, I'll ask again. Who has objections to my suggestion? This time, if anyone still feels superior in front of me, I don't mind making your sense of superiority disappear completely." The moment these words came out, everyone's expression changed. The sense of superiority came from the race. The solipsistic meant extermination of the race. Chapter 708. The Titan who had shouted the most fiercely just now had an ashen face. In front of the solipsistic's absolute power, numbers were useless. It was no exaggeration to say that as long as the solipsistic was willing, he could kill everyone present. In fact, everyone in the entire fourth heaven domain. "Forget it, Scar. Don't object anymore." His companion beside him said, "Now, his words are the rules. With his strength, the human race is already invincible. His request is not excessive. He did not stop the races from fighting for territory, but only prohibited the use of physical damage skills. In other words, we cannot destroy a race, but the strong will still be strong, and the weak will only get a small amount of territory. It can't be that the solipsistic will destroy the entire race because of this, right?" Scar sighed. "It seems that this is the only way." At this point, no one dared to object to Lu Chen's suggestion. From now on, physical damage was abolished in the fourth heaven. Lu Chen also heaved a sigh of relief. At least this way, even if Lu Yi and the others died, they would not die in the real world. However, he could only guarantee that there would not be any genocide in the fourth heaven. After all, he did not know what the situation was like in the higher heavens. The 9 camps, the wilderness god tribe, the highest commanders of the immortal army, the great generals, and the officials of the Immortal Army Alliance all came to the center of the war zone and signed the new rules. The battle of the two-formed sacred beasts had ended for 2 days, and the rumors about the battle were getting more and more ridiculous. There were too many rumors about the solipsistic also having the nihility body, or that he fought the extreme yang illumination underground for 3 days and 3 nights and finally killed it. His name had become a household name in the fourth heaven. In addition, after the new rules were announced, the various camps also added many new explanations. For example, in abnormal battles, the maximum number of times each person could revive, the scale of the battle, and the duration of the battle. Now that the extreme nether glow was dead, there was no time limit to the battle. If they kept reviving, the two armies could fight until the end of time. Lu Chen did not want to ask too much about this situation. There was no way to stop the races from fighting for resources, and he did not have the time to go from house to distribute resources. Moreover, the fifth celestial layer was definitely a place where strength was respected, so competition was inevitable. Forcibly restraining them would be counterproductive. Regardless of what was going on in the outside world, Lu Chen was quite relaxed. He had been staying in Gu Fei's camp for the past 2 days. Today, his backfire effect had ended. The extreme nether glow had already acknowledged Lu Chen's strength. He could directly enter the 5th layer of heaven. However, Lu Chen planned to stay in the 4th layer of heaven for a few more months. Lu Yi and the others had also heard about the battle between Lu Chen and Lunar Nether Glow. Nan Tian had actually used a low-level shadow stone to record the battle. This was to be used as a teaching material. Lu Yi and the rest had watched their brother's battle. Although it was just a video, they were so frightened by the situation that they were sweating profusely. This level of battle is too exaggerated. Why didn't the guild leader tell us about such an important battle? He didn't want us to worry. Fortunately, Mad God won in the end. However, after watching the battle, I was scared witless. If I didn't know that Mad God was still alive, I would probably have a heart attack. Lu Yi's eyes were red. Stupid Lu Chen, you didn't tell me about a battle of life and death. Now that he won, if he lost, how sad would I be? At this moment, a faint voice sounded, "Can your brother lose? I was just afraid that I would delay your cultivation." Everyone turned around and saw that the person who came was none other than Solipsistic. Brother. When Lu Yi saw her brother, she cried and ran to Lu Chen and punched him on the shoulder. "Do you still treat me as your sister? Why didn't you tell me about such a dangerous thing?" Lu Chen smiled faintly. "Silly girl, if I had told you earlier, you would probably have been scared for 2 months. Alright, don't cry, I'm fine now." Stardust, Xiao Yao Feng, and the others immediately surrounded him. "Mad God, why are you here?" Lu Chen smiled. "I'm here to see you guys, so that people won't say that I don't care about our friendship and don't welcome you guys every time." "Mad God, what are you talking about? You've done enough for the players on Earth. Are you guys adapting well here?" Adapting. The Southern Sky sect leader wanted us to start as inner disciples, but our strength isn't enough for inner disciples, so we'll start as outer disciples. Lu Chen nodded. "That's good too. If we don't live up to the name, it will hinder our future development. There's nothing bad about being outer disciples." "That's right, Mad God, there's an outer disciple called Brother Wrist. After knowing that we're from your hometown, he took special care of us." Brother Wrist? Lu Chen just remembered that he had a group of outer disciples in the Celestial Pinnacle sect. It seemed like Brother Wrist worshipped Lu Chen even more now. He even took special care of his hometown. After that, Lu Chen and the others went to see Brother Wrist and the others. After seeing Lu Chen, Brother Wrist was so excited that he was incoherent. In the past, he had nearly charged into Lone Tyrant's room to teach him a lesson. In the end, if Lone Tyrant had already become the #1 expert within the 4th heavenly layer, it truly felt as if a lifetime had passed. He didn't expect that Lu Chen's room was still intact. He called Lu Yi to his room alone. "Fatty, I'll talk to Brother Nantian. You can stay here from now on. It's quieter here." Okay. By the way, can Sister Nuanyuan and the others stay here with me in the future?" "Up to you." Lu Chen had always doted on Lu Yi, so he naturally didn't have any objections. "Will you wait for them? They miss you very much." Lu Chen thought for a while and shook his head. "I might be going to the 5th heaven soon. It's just that I still have some things to take care of. I'll stay here for a while." Lu Yi was a little regretful, but she also knew that her brother still had a long way to go. He couldn't stop and wait for anyone. "By the way, this is for you." After saying that, Lu Chen took out a key and handed it to Lu Chen. "This is the whirlpool key. There are many whirlpools in the 4th heaven. If you're not careful, you'll be sucked in. With this key, you can come out. However, there are also many opportunities in the whirlpool world. If it's not a crisis, try to explore by yourself. Moreover, every whirlpool world has a whirlpool key. This is a spare for you." Lu Yi looked at the key in shock. "Ah. Brother, how did you get this thing? I've heard of the whirlpool world. I also know that you've come out from a whirlpool before. But this thing shouldn't exist. Lu Chen smiled. I have a passive called greed. 10% will give me an additional reward. Speaking of which, it's quite strange. 2 whirlpools, it was the key that triggered greed. I'm drunk. Oh, by the way, I sold another one. I exchanged it for a high-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique and an immortal martial. If you want to sell, at least exchange it for a mid-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique. Lu Yi's eyes widened. What kind of price was that? A high-grade heaven-tier cultivation technique and an immortal martial. Have you finished your daily mission for today? I've finished it. Brother Wrist rushed to help me. Now that everyone knew that Lu Yi was Lu Chen's sister, Brother Wrist would definitely take care of Lu Yi. He would definitely not let Lu Yi do things like daily missions. Alright then. Let's go. Follow me to the sect store to exchange for cash withdrawal tickets. Lu Chen pulled Lu Yi. Hehe, I finally have a chance to withdraw cash. My 2 million plus sect contributions are already thirsting for it. Chapter 709. The price of the attribute extraction scroll was a little scary. The 3D attribute extraction scroll required 10,000 sect contributions. The spiritual energy extraction scroll required 100,000 sect contributions. Furthermore, each person could only extract 10 of each type. Brother, you don't have to exchange it for me. There's an upper limit to the attribute extraction scroll for level 4. If you give it to me, you'll have less. Lu Yi said, anyway, I'll earn it myself in the future. Lu Chen nodded. As sect contributions could not be given out, Lu Chen could only exchange for the attribute extraction scroll for himself first. That cost him 1,300,000 sect contributions. The other was the item extraction scroll. The corresponding price of each item was different. When exchanging, one had to let the store appraise it first. Lu Chen placed the items he wanted to extract in the store for appraisal. Among them, the Tai Shua required 1,200,000 sect contributions. It was enough to make Lu Chen go bankrupt. At this moment, the person in charge of the sect's exchange store, Elder Zhu Xing, hurried over. Solipsistic, why didn't you tell me you were coming? Lu Chen and Elder Zhu Xing had only met a few times. They had not even spoken before. For a moment, he did not know how to answer. They did not seem to be that familiar with each other. I knew it. The person who exchanged 2,500,000 sect contributions back then must be you. When Elder Zhu Xing saw Lu Chen, he was very excited. He said enthusiastically, what do you want to exchange for? If you don't understand, you can ask me. Lu Chen asked, Elder Zhu Xing, why are the items so expensive? What do you want to extract? An immortal level mount. Immortal level mount? No way. That would require an astronomical amount of sect contributions. Elder Zhu Xing said in surprise. According to the rules of item extraction, the higher the quality, the higher the cost. As items require a lot of spirit chi to extract, the cost of an immortal level mount is at least 1 million. Lu Chen frowned slightly. Mine is 1,200,000, of course, I'm talking about the starting price. 2 million is actually the cheapest type. If I'm not wrong, the mount you want to cash out isn't particularly good. Lu Chen nodded. As an immortal mount, the Grand Shuttle was actually inferior to the 9-winged celestial dragon. Its only advantage was that it could be extracted. That's right, that's it. If your 9-winged celestial dragon could be cashed out, the price would be at least 5 million. Oh, that's not right. I reckon that you won't even be able to cash out a 4th layer celestial master. Guild contributions are no longer able to buy cash withdrawal scrolls for items of that level. Lu Chen suddenly thought of the beast deity. If he wanted to extract that thing, wouldn't he have to go up to the fifth heaven, or even higher? Moreover, the fifth layer of heaven shouldn't be using sect contributions to buy cash notes. Maybe it was spirit stones or some other currency. Lu Chen took a look. Now, he could only afford the cash withdrawal price of the Taisuo. It would be a waste for him to keep his contributions. Lu Chen finally exchanged for the cash withdrawal price of the Taisuo. After bidding farewell to the awakened elder, Lu Chen returned to his residence. Brother, 4,000 attribute points. Lu Yi was now even more excited than Lu Chen. I think the military will ask you to test it again. Lu Chen smiled. Test it then. I haven't gone offline for a long time. Let Brother Wrist help you with your daily missions for a few days. You can rest for a few days. I'll take you to Old Sue's barbecue. That afternoon, a top-secret test was being held in a secret base in the north of Wuxia. Lin Hai, Li Muhua, Jiangqing's secretary Lin, the Great Wall of Iron and Blood in the game, and a group of big shots that Lu Chen had never seen before. The top experts in various fields in the country were all nervously looking at the young man who was exercising on the track. After adding 100 attribute points last time, Lu Chen only took 7 seconds to complete the 100-meter sprint. It was far beyond the human body's limit. I wonder how far he can go this time. At this time, Lu Chen was panting in his special sprint sportswear and stretching his limbs at the starting point. In fact, he was a little nervous. The human body had a limit because when it exceeded this limit, the human body's structure would not be able to withstand it. When the speed reached a certain level, the strong reaction force would also be extremely oppressive to the body. Although 1,000 attribute points had been extracted, Lu Chen had never used it before. He did not know if his body could withstand it. Li Muhua stood beside Lu Chen. Chen, don't go all out for the first time. Lu Chen nodded. At the start of the first test, Lu Chen broke through the 6-second barrier. He only took 5.48 seconds for the 100-meter sprint. In the observation room, there was a burst of exclamations. Oh my God, 5.48 seconds. This result is unbelievable. Lu Chen doesn't have any symptoms of discomfort. If his body structure did not change, that means that his body's strength has greatly increased. Unbelievable, unbelievable. I never dreamed that a human could reach such a terrifying speed for a 100-meter sprint. However, Lu Chen was obviously not going all out. After the test, Lu Chen had already determined that his body could withstand higher intensity exercise. This time, he would try to run with all his might. Standing at the starting line again, Lu Chen sprinted forward with a gunshot. 4.8 seconds. Impossible. Oh my God, it's equivalent to 25 meters per second. It's equivalent to 90 kilometers per hour. The highest speed on the highway is only 120 kilometers per hour. This has completely exceeded the limits of human beings. No, it should be beyond the knowledge of modern technology. Quickly test his strength. Lu Chen's strength test showed that he could lift 1.8 tons of weight with both hands. This is simply a real-life version of Superman. His speed is so fast and his strength has reached an unbelievable level. If this is not Superman, then what is? The most important test was the spiritual power test. This time, the experts had developed a device specifically used to test spiritual power. It looked like an X-ray, but they said it would not harm the human body. The experts found that a small light spot had formed in Lu Chen's body. What is this? There is an unknown implant in Lu Chen's body. Impossible. It was normal during the last test. Look, there seems to be something flowing in this light spot. Li Muhua was not an expert and could not understand the device. However, He was not willing to not have a chance to express his opinion, so he said casually, "It can't be a panacea, right?" As soon as he said that, the observation room was suddenly silent for a few seconds. The group of experts exclaimed one after another after going through some kind of complicated process in their minds. Panacea. Yes. Panacea. It's a panacea. Yes, look at the energy flow in the light spot. Our device is used to detect the energy flow of spiritual energy. In other words, the light spot contains a lot of spiritual energy. If it's not a panacea, then what is it? Oh my God, this is incredible. After extracting 1,000 points of spiritual power, it can actually form a panacea in the human body. A real panacea. Oh my God. Everyone present could no longer remain calm in the face of such a test result. Earth will usher in a revolution. No. Earth will not usher in a revolution, but a subversion. Chapter 710. This time, Lu Chen didn't follow the military's car back. Secretary Lin, Muhua, come back with us. Lu Chen invited them. When the two saw the shuttle-shaped vehicle parked on the tarmac, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva. This was an invitation that they couldn't refuse. The Cosmos shuttle was like a long boat. Its body was streamlined, and it didn't need any fuel to fly. Its speed was extremely fast, and there was no turbulence in the Cosmos shuttle. Most importantly, this thing was too cool to control. There was no need for any operation. As long as Lu Chen said a word, it would fly according to Lu Chen's wishes. In the air, the four of them were still standing, but they were still unusually stable. Secretary Lin put his hands behind his back and looked at the white clouds beside him and the tiny building under his feet. He sighed, "I can't imagine that things in the Jyotian can be extracted into reality. I'm getting old. Otherwise, I would really want to be like you guys and explore the Jyotian. However, I still want to live for a few more years and see what the future of Earth will be like." The future of Earth. Lu Chen had seen it before. Even a seemingly weak father and daughter could stop a speeding car with one hand. However, Lu Chen didn't intend to tell others what he saw in the swirl world. Secretary Lin had always taken care of Lu Chen and his sister. Lu Chen smiled and said, "Secretary Lin, you're only in your 50s. In fact, I've seen people older than you, and they still have the physique of a young person." Yes, Secretary Lin, no matter what the final results of those experts are, it's now certain that as long as enough attributes are extracted, the human body will exceed the limits of human beings. At that time, a 50-year-old might just be a child, Li Muhua said. Secretary Lin was amused by Li Muhua, a 50-year-old child. Ha 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 ha, little Li, you really know how to talk. However, although Li Muhua was just joking, what he said wasn't completely hypothetical. Judging from Lu Chen's current physical condition, even if the fourth layer of heaven wasn't so exaggerated, it was almost certain when he reached the fifth or ninth layer of heaven. If there was a way, who would be willing to face death? Secretary Lin's eyes gradually lit up. Yeah, I caught the last bus. Maybe I'm not too late. After sending Secretary Lin home, it was already very late. Lu Chen decided to bring Lu Yi and Li Muhua to Old Su's barbecue. In the middle of the night, Old Su's barbecue business was booming. As a famous snack stall in Rivertown, Old Su's profits were indisputable. The barbecue was genuine and delicious. It had become a brand in the barbecue industry in Rivertown. More than a dozen tables that had been set up temporarily were already filled with people. People were eating barbecue, drinking beer, and chatting enthusiastically. What was interesting was that Jyotian was the topic of many people's conversations. Our guild has a slot for next week. I should be able to enter the fourth layer of heaven, a young man said loudly, immediately attracting the envious gazes of the people around the table. Many people turned to look at the young man. The fourth heavenly layer was an opportunity that everyone yearned for. Until now, there were only 101 people in the world who had entered the fourth heavenly layer. In the previous batch of Earth Alliance, 100 people had entered the fourth heavenly layer. As for the one, it was naturally solipsistic. His friend was even more envious. Really? The fourth heavenly layer. Even Mad God is still at the fourth heavenly layer. I've finally caught up with him. That person seemed to be at ease. For a top-tier guild like Mad Waves, our strength is naturally not something that ordinary guilds can compare to. I've been in Mad Waves for a few years and climbed up step by step with my strength. Hey, I heard that your guild has a few beauties. Of course, our Vice President, Finance Minister, Dungeon Minister, and Foreign Affairs Minister are all first-class beauties. My goal is to become the Foreign Affairs Minister. Do you know that? Hua Luo, of course I know. Brother Bao, before you go to the fourth heavenly layer, the Alliance seems to have given you a lot of attribute pills. Your strength will definitely soar. Yeah, Brother Bao, when you go to the fourth heavenly layer, you'll be a top-tier expert. Hua Luo will definitely fall for you. Hey, women are just for fun. With strength, what kind of woman can't I get? I can get my hands on that guild leader of mine. The attribute pills will be given out tomorrow, but today, I've already exchanged for an attribute exchange scroll. Brother Bao, why did you only exchange for an attribute exchange scroll? Speaking of this, Brother Bao said with righteous indignation, those trash above said that everyone has to rely on their own ability to earn military merits. I've worked so hard for them for so many years, and I still have to earn military merits myself. Forget it, that's not the point. Let me tell you, your Brother Bao is no longer an ordinary person. At the third heavenly layer, one could use military merits to exchange for attribute points, but the limit was only 400 points. Of course, even if the third heavenly layer military merits were easier to obtain than the fourth heavenly layer, exchanging for an attribute exchange scroll was not something that could be done overnight. At this time, Lu Chen, Lu Yi, and Li Muhua were sitting next to each other. Li Muhua could not help but shake his head. 100 points of attribute points makes you superhuman. My Chen, what are you now? Li Muhua was not someone who liked to stir up trouble, but that guy had spoken rudely to Leng Noa and Hua Luo, which made him very unhappy. Lu Chen smiled slightly. He was too famous now, so he had to wear a hooded jacket. It was rare for him to go offline, so Lu Chen did not want to talk about the game. He did not answer Li Muhua's boring question. Hey, what do you want to eat? It's my treat today. You can eat until you're full. I'm starving. Are you sure you can eat until you're full? Li Muhua said. Lu Chen frowned and looked at him. What? Are you going to eat until I'm poor? Eat as much as you want. Eat until I'm bankrupt if you can. That's not enough. Any one of your equipment is enough for me to eat for 10 lifetimes, Li Muhua said self-consciously. Lu Chen's current net worth had not been calculated for a long time. Although he did not sell equipment anymore, he earned a few million every day from his personal dungeon. After a few years, his net worth had reached tens of billions. Of course, this did not include his in-game assets. If it was included, it would be very difficult to calculate his net worth. All the players on Earth did not even have 100 spiritual stones. Lu Chen had 7 million. Originally, Lu Chen and the rest were just bragging among friends. However, when they talked about the game, a few young people at the table next to them glanced at Lu Chen and the rest. One piece of equipment to eat for 10 lifetimes. TSK, what are you pretending for? Hey, Brother Bao, don't bother about them. They probably haven't seen what high-level equipment is. Your guild has people who are going to reach the fourth heaven. What can they use to compete with you, Brother Bao? When Li Muhua heard these people chattering, he immediately put on a straight face. Lu Chen pressed his hand down and said, "Eat first." Lu Chen's words obviously had a meaning. Li Muhua rolled his eyes at them and sat down again. Okay, boss, give me 50 sets of lamb kidneys. How weak are you? Eating so many kidneys? You're the weak one. I like to eat kidneys. After eating supper, the few people at the table next to them did not leave. They were all flattering Brother Bao. Brother Bao was also immersed in his vanity. After a few glasses of wine, he became even more arrogant. When he saw Lu Chen and the rest stand up, he turned around and said to Lu Yi, "Hey, beautiful. Brother is going to reach the fourth heaven soon. I'll give you a chance to hug my thigh and be my woman. I'll bring you glory and wealth. How about it?" Lu Yi narrowed her eyes and walked in front of that person. With a slap, Lu Yi slapped that person so hard that he saw stars. When Brother Bao's friends saw that this woman was so fierce, they all stood up angrily and shouted, "You're looking for death. Do you believe that we'll kill you right now?" At this moment, a calm voice suddenly sounded. "Fatty, are you sure you're full? Why do I feel like you're not full? One slap is not enough. Hit him harder. If they dare to touch you, I'll teach them a lesson." Chapter 7:11. When Lu Chen took off his hood, the young people were stunned when they saw his silhouette. When the people around saw Lu Chen's face, they were so shocked that they dropped the skewers in their hands. "No, it's impossible. I actually saw a living Mad God." "What? Mad God is eating barbecue? He's eating barbecue with us. Oh my God, Mad God, Mad God, I'm your fan." Lu Chen shook his head. He knew that this would be the result once he showed his face. Mad God was now a household name on Earth. Many people had seen his videos and live broadcasts. Who didn't know him? Brother Bao, who had fallen to the ground, covered his mouth and looked at Lu Chen in shock. His eyes were full of horror. "Mad, Mad God. You're Mad God. President. I was wrong. I really didn't know she was your friend." Lu Chen snorted and stood up. "If she wasn't my friend, or if I wasn't solipsistic, you could bully people in the name of Mad God. No, I just said that. I was wrong. I slapped my own mouth." Brother Bao was completely sober. This time, Louis didn't need to do anything. He slapped his own face more than 10 times in a row. The corners of his mouth were bleeding. Lu Chen snorted and said to Lu Yi, "Go back and check it out. Kick him out of the guild." Lu Yi glared at Brother Bao. She would do it even if her brother didn't tell her. "I think he's just bragging. If you don't even know Mad God and Yi, how can you go to the fourth heaven?" Li Muhua said coldly. "Yi, don't be angry. There are all kinds of birds in the sea." The surrounding people had already surrounded the three of them, asking for autographs, photos, and calling their friends. When the bustling passers-by saw this, more and more people came over. When the newcomers saw Lu Chen, they went crazy. "Damn, it's Mad God. He's really from Jiang City. I actually saw the real Mad God. Mad God, how is the fourth heaven? Mad God, can I add you on WeChat? I will definitely not harass you. Please." Li Muhua could only pretend to be Lu Chen's security guard. Lu Chen shook his head. At this rate, he was afraid that there would be a commotion here soon. It was better to leave this place quickly. Not far away, there was a car. The body of the car was covered by a cloth. From the outside, the two cars seemed to be very long. It was unknown what brand they were. Lu Chen casually paid 500 yuan, which was definitely enough for their expenses. Then, he hurriedly brought Lu Yi and Li Muhua to the front of the car. Old Su looked at Lu Chen in shock. You're solipsistic. You don't have to pay. You've done so much for us. How can I take your money? Lu Chen smiled faintly. Old Su, what mad god? I'm just here to eat the barbecue you made. There are too many people today. I have to go. I'll come again next time. A group of people followed closely behind, taking pictures with their phones. Mad God, give me your autograph. If I have your autograph, I can brag about it for a year. Lu Chen hurriedly brought Li Muhua and his sister away. He walked quickly to the front of the tesseract and pulled off the cloth. Only then did the people realize that the thing under the cloth was not a car at all. It was a strange-looking shuttle-type vehicle. The three of them boarded the tesseract, which directly shot into the sky. Damn, what's that? Is it a magical mount? No way, Mad God has a mount from the Empyrean. Can this thing be extracted into reality? It's possible. If a level 3 item can be extracted into reality, it's not impossible for a level 4 item to be materialized. It was just that this was too cool. A magical mount. Lu Chen and the rest finally returned home. Lu Chen let out a long sigh of relief. Sigh, Chen, your influence is too great now. Next time, you can't show your face. Thank goodness it was at night this time. If it was during the day, we wouldn't be able to come out at all. We'll have to increase the number of soldiers here in the future, Li Muhua said thoughtfully. Lu Chen hurriedly stopped him from having such a scary idea. No need. There are soldiers patrolling and drilling here every morning. I almost forgot that this is a commercial villa area. If you send more soldiers here, this place will really become a military base. Anyway, I don't have many chances to go offline. At most, I'll just wear a mask when I go out next time. Lu Yi sighed. Brother, you're more famous than an international superstar now. Those people just now were crazy. Lu Chen smiled. It's okay. They didn't mean any harm. Also, there aren't many people who can hurt me now. Speaking of this, Lu Chen frowned slightly. Muhua, you still have to tell your people in the Earth Alliance. In the future, when selecting people who can extract limited attributes, they have to do a thorough check. If this ability falls into the hands of people with ulterior motives, it'll be very dangerous. After today's incident, Li Muhua had a deep understanding of this. Now, there were only a few people on Earth who had the opportunity to extract attributes. Once their attributes were extracted, their bodies would be far superior to ordinary people. Level 3 was not too exaggerated, but if it was level 4, it would be very scary. Okay, I'll report this to the Alliance's chairman. In the future, when everyone's strength increases, we won't be able to control them with their own abilities. However, at this stage, we still have to increase the supervision. These things could be left to Li Muhua to handle. That night, a large number of photos appeared on the internet. They were all photos of Lu Chen and the other two, as well as Tai Suo. Once the photos were released, it quickly caused a sensation on the internet. That's definitely a Jiutian mount. Look, there's no steering wheel. Mad God can fly without any control. If it's not a mount, then what is it? I'm so excited. If items can be extracted, does that mean my baby will have the opportunity to extract attributes in the future too? I can't wait to go to level 4 now. I'm so anxious. Why didn't Mad God extract his 9-winged celestial dragon? If that guy comes to reality, it'll definitely make people go crazy. Just thinking about it makes me excited. They still didn't know that in level 4, only items with the word extractable could be extracted, and the cost was very high. Brother, look, everyone knows about the extraction of items. Louis sat in front of the computer and browsed the photos on the forum. It doesn't matter. This is good too. In the future, I won't cause a bigger sensation when I use Tai Suo. Lu Chen laughed. But they don't know how much sect contributions Tai Suo needs to extract. Louis sighed. 1. 2 million sect contributions. Unless you do a large sect mission, it's impossible to save that much. Why? Don't you have confidence in yourself? Of course not. I can definitely save enough, Lu Yi said unconvinced. Lu Chen smiled. His sister was still stubborn. However, if Lu Yi really couldn't save enough, he didn't mind helping her with a few exploration missions in the swirl world. Brother, when are you going to level 5? They all say that level 5 is a qualitative change. Lu Yi suddenly asked. I just caught up with you, and you're going to level 5 again. You'll be alone again in the future. I'm worried about you. Silly girl, I can still go offline. Besides, your brother is very strong. Speaking of which, I'm looking forward to level 5. After I meet a friend, I should be able to go to the 5th heaven. Chapter 7:12. Lu Chen no longer felt anything about being the center of attention after experiencing it so many times. The next day, Lu Chen went shopping with his sister as if nothing had happened. He spent most of his time in the Jiutian and spent very little time with his sister. In the blink of an eye, his sister had grown up a lot and was now a young lady. This time, Lu Chen did not drive his taisho. The two of them rode in Li Muhua's military vehicle. On the way back, Lu Chen suddenly asked his sister, Hey, fatty, you're not young anymore. Do you have anyone you like now? Li Muhua, who was driving, perked up his ears even higher than a rabbit. Lu Yi was a little shy and stammered. Lu Chen knew at a glance that she had someone she liked. Who is it? That, cough cough, brother Muhua. Li Muhua was so excited that his heart stopped beating. Is it me? I knew it was me. Lu Yi, you finally felt my feelings. Brother Muhua, what are you saying? I'm saying, drive properly and don't eavesdrop. We're so close and you're still thinking about me. Li Muhua was like a deflated balloon. This. Sai, the leader said that I can't have feelings for the person I'm protecting. Sai, Lu Chen looked at Li Muhua sympathetically. This guy was rejected just like that. It was a little pitiful. Brother, actually, after reaching level 4, someone has been taking care of me. It's just that. Sigh, it feels a little unrealistic. Lu Chen immediately reacted, it can't be another human, right? Who? Beishua Gufei, this guy. Lu Chen said fiercely. Brother, why are you so fierce? Is he not good? Beishua Gufei's character was impeccable. When he competed with Lu Chen, he was upright. After reaching level 4, he had risked his life with Lu Chen several times. From the Azura world to the trial of the human race, he did not hesitate at all. Moreover, this fellow was the newcomer with the most potential among the 5 major forces. His strength was very strong. Among the few people he knew, Yanran, Dongfangji, Moran, and the others, he was the strongest. As for his appearance, he was indeed quite handsome. When he first appeared, who knew how many female players screamed? If he was on Earth, he would definitely be an idol. Lu Chen shook his head. That guy's not bad. Hey, he just doesn't want you to marry someone else. Li Muhua interrupted. Right, Chen? Lu Chen was annoyed and amused at the same time. This guy had just been rejected, and now he was trying to undermine him. He was indeed a good friend. Lu Yi leaned on Lu Chen's shoulder. Brother, we just met. Besides, we are from 2 different worlds. Brother, I don't want to get married. I want to stay by your side. Lu Chen smiled. Silly girl. Actually, people from different worlds can meet, but it has to be in a higher heaven region. If you really like him, I won't stop you. However, girls shouldn't trust others so easily. Observe carefully before you invest your feelings. Also, Tell Gufei that if he wants to pursue my sister, he has to beat me. This. Brother, isn't it too much to ask for him to beat you? Li Muhua was gloating in front. Ha ha ha, beating Mad God? Impossible. That guy has no chance. Brother Muhua. Oh, Lu Chen smiled and said, at least let that kid know that it's not so easy to chase after my sister. You should also see if he works hard enough. If he retreats in the face of difficulties, then this kind of person is not worth trusting. Lu Yi finally understood her brother's intentions. However, the more it was like this, the more she couldn't bear to part with her brother. Brother, I just have a good impression of him. I won't get married. Won't get married? Lu Chen hoped so too, but this thought was too selfish. For the sake of his sister's happiness, he had to let go when it was time. After spending 2 days with his sister, Lu Chen returned to the Jyotian. Next, Lu Chen went straight to the wilderness god tribe. The saintess personally welcomed him. Xuanling was still in the wilderness god tribe. Brother Du Kuang, why haven't you gone to the 5th heaven? I need to level up before going. I also have some things to deal with. Lu Chen said. Oh right, where does the wilderness god tribe plan to develop in the future? If you guys want to go to the 5th heaven, we can go together. The saintess shook her head. Now that the heaven domain boss is dead, the entrance to the Jyotian 5th heaven is closed. We need to wait for the new heaven domain boss to descend. Lu Chen just remembered that he was the only one who had passed the heaven domain boss. The others had yet to do so. We will definitely go to the 5th heaven. However, there are still many things we need to do here. The saintess took a sip of tea. There are still many people who are not strong enough. We need to settle them down. Lu Chen nodded. The wilderness god tribe had 300,000 people, but there were also many women, children, and the elderly. As the leader of the tribe, the saintess had to consider everything. If we are fated to meet, we should meet again. The saintess smiled. Lu Chen smiled. Okay. Oh right, Xuanling, when are you going to the 5th heaven? You should be strong enough to defeat the heaven domain boss. Xuanling's expression changed. She said sadly, Brother Kuang, I'm afraid I can't go to the 5th heaven for now. The rise of the Frost tribe needs me. I need to go back to the 3rd heaven and the 2nd heaven to reunite the tribe. Lu Chen was also reluctant to part with Xuanling. Xuanling was the friend who was closest to his strength. Moreover, she was still growing. With her by his side, Lu Chen would not be so lonely. Unfortunately, from the moment he implanted the Black Frost divine blood into Xuanling's body, Xuanling had to bear the fate of the Frost tribe. Although it was a bit regretful, Lu Chen still smiled. That's right. Xuanling, with your strength, there are few in the 4th heaven who can match you. The rise of the Frost tribe is imminent. If you see my tribe members, help them sometimes. They are still very weak. Brother Kuang, from now on, the players of Earth are the friends of the Frost tribe. There is no doubt about that. Xuanling said with certainty. Lu Chen originally planned to pick Xuanling up, but now it seemed that he could only leave by himself. Then, Xuanling, you have to be more careful in the future. Lu Chen stood up and said goodbye to the saintess. He then looked at Xuanling and turned to leave. Looking at Lu Chen's lonely back, Xuanling could no longer hold it in. Her tears fell like rain. When they first met, he was alone. He had billions of people. Now, he was still alone. He had many friends who treated him with sincerity, but he still walked on that path alone. His strength was tyrannical, but at this moment, it was difficult to hide his lonely back. Perhaps he was destined to only be accompanied by loneliness on this path. Brother Kuang, wait for me. I will definitely find you. The saintess walked up. Xuanling, there is no need to force yourself. The path of the strong is destined to be lonely. Only he can complete this heaven-defying path. However, the sad atmosphere did not last long. Xuanling and the Saintess saw that there was a rhubarb dog, a little furball, and 3 ghost pets by Lu Chen's side. 1 man, 1 dog, 1 rat, and 3 ghosts walked away, laughing and joking. This. The Saintess was a little embarrassed. What lonely companionship. It looked very lively over there. Chapter 7:13. After returning to the game, Lu Chen left the human territory and found a quiet lake by himself. He released all his battle pets. 4 of them had reached adulthood: Chaos, Taotai, Black Dragon, and Azure Dragon. There were also a lot of young ones. Lu Chen counted the beast cores in his hand. We have enough beast cores and special soul essences. We're just a little short on EXP. Once we return, I'll bring you to the wildlands to level up. Lu Chen opened the Personal Instance Dungeon page. The Personal Instance Dungeon's attributeless soul essence was already full, but he needed to go to the lower realm to retrieve it. I have to make a trip to the second heaven. I can't even afford the lower realm pass anymore. Lu Chen could only choose to go directly to the second heaven. After all, the third heaven required military merits. He was still a commoner and had no military merits, so he could not change his lower realm token. Directly jumping 2 levels to the heaven domain, the second heaven lower realm token's price was also 5 digits. Forget it, there's no need to rush the beast god fusion. Let's fuse the demonic god Lotus Heart first. He placed the 9 fragments of the demonic god's Lotus Heart on the fusion interface. This item did not require any other materials and could be fused directly. A golden light flashed, and a black lotus appeared in front of Lu Chen. Congratulations, you have successfully fused the demon god Lotus Heart. Lu Chen couldn't wait to open the demonic god's Lotus Heart's attribute panel. Fiend god Lotus Heart, unique, unknown quality magic treasure. The heart of the demon and god's Lotus Heart increased all 3 attributes by 50,000 points and spiritual energy by 10,000 points. The attributes were quite overpowered, but Lu Chen did not care about these attributes. The key was the special effects. Special Effect 1, Inner Demon. After entering the inner demon state, the inner demon's power will be unleashed. All attributes will be increased by 100%, attack will be increased by 100%, and the user will enter the berserk state. Attack speed and movement speed will be increased by 200%, skill casting speed will be increased by 200%, and the damage received will be increased by 500%. In the inner demon state, the physical body will be highly strengthened and the damage to the physical body will be reduced by 80%. However, in the inner demon state, the user will enter the inner demon state and lose 5% of their ability to control their thoughts every second. If they stay in this state for a long time, they will lose their nature forever. When the inner demon enters the body, after exiting the inner demon state, 1% of the ability to control thoughts will be restored every 10 minutes. You can set an upper limit for this special effect. The first special effect scared Lu Chen to the point of choking. The boost from the inner demon state was terrifying. It felt as if he had really gone crazy. All his attributes had been greatly improved. In addition, under the inner demon state, there was an effect of reducing physical damage. After the 5th celestial tier, this ability was absolutely crucial. This special effect directly reduced damage by 80%, which was extremely terrifying. However, in contrast to the many powerful abilities, there was a terrifying backlash. Damage received increased by 500%. Losing 5% of his rationality every second. These 2 recoil effects were even more terrifying than the amplification effect. Losing 5% of his rationality every second meant that he could not simply enter the inner demon state for 20 seconds. The consequences of losing 30% of his rationality were already hard to predict. Moreover, when his rationality gradually decreased, it was easy to trigger a chain reaction. After losing part of his rationality, Lu Chen was likely to continue to prolong the duration of his inner demon state regardless of the consequences. It really is an extremely sharp double-edged sword. It is ridiculously strong, but the aftereffects are equally terrifying. If you use your inner demons as a last resort, you must ensure that the amount of inner demons entering your body does not exceed 20%. Fortunately, he could control the duration of this special effect. Just in case, Lu Chen first set the duration at 4 seconds. Special Effect 2, Sacred Lotus Sword Heart. Enter the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart realm from the normal form. In this realm, the sword follows the heart and is traceless. Every sword is as if the main body is personally wielding the sword to attack. Enjoy the close combat special effect and increase the imprisonment effect. Once stabbed by the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart, the enemy will enter a strong control state of imprisonment for 0.1 seconds. The Sacred Lotus Sword Heart has a total of 108 swords. The damage of each sword is the total of all types of attacks in the current state *6 plus spiritual attack *500, plus 100 points of physical damage. In this state, the opponent's sword will lose its effect. Skill duration, 3 minutes. Skill cooldown, 17, 30 to 13 days. Divine Demon Origin Cultivation Technique shortens by 5 days, Divine Demon 6 Transformations shortens by 3 days, Divine Demon Limitless Sword shortens by 2 days, Divine Demon Dual Heavenly Might shortens by 3 days. Lu Chen frowned. My poison attack and physical attack are at their strongest, around 44 million. This is 250 million. With the addition of the 500 million spiritual attack, one sword is 750 million. I can also enjoy critical hits, combo attacks, and use Fierce Tiger Descends the Mountain at the same time. Calculating it like this, if others used the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart, it would be 108 swords. If Lu Chen used this move, he could reach 1080 swords in his peak state. Forget about the damage, it was 750 billion even without critical hits. Even if it was a critical hit, it would reach 1 trillion. Considering the high-level Heaven Domain realm opponents, their defenses and resistances wouldn't be low, but it shouldn't be a problem to hit a few 100 billion. The key was the physical damage. This was the first time the skill quantified the physical damage. Looking at it now, Lu Chen still didn't know what 100 points of physical damage meant. In the high-level Heaven Domain, the physical damage would also be quantified, but I can't figure it out right now. It was a pity that such a terrifying skill could only be used once every 17 days and only for 3 minutes each time. Can't this skill refresh its cooldown? I'm not in a critical state yet, perhaps it can affect the cooldown. Thinking of this, Lu Chen used Place of Death, Dragon Blood Boil, and 3-World Reincarnation, putting the skills in a non-cooldown state. Skill cooldown, 17 days, very good, I really can't refresh it. Lu Chen shook his head. The Demon God Lotus Heart only had 2 special effects. The 2 skills gave people a strong feeling, but they also had a large drawback. The inner demon state increased all aspects and 80% physical damage immunity. This was the first time a skill appeared to protect the body, but although the duration was too short and there was a risk of becoming a demon. According to Lu Chen's personality, he wouldn't use it if he could. The Sacred Lotus Heart's damage was explosive and it was stronger than the Spatial Spirit Energy Cannon. Other than the high damage, as long as the enemy was hit once, they could attack continuously. With 0.1 seconds of strong control, this 108 sword skill was like a seamless combo. After being hit once, there would be 107 sword attacks. If Lu Chen used it, after the enemy was hit once, there would be 1079 sword attacks. But he could only use it once every 17 days. If he met a dense battle, he could only use it as a final trump card. The advantages and disadvantages of these 2 skills are very clear. Oh, right, let's see if there are any new special effects for the mixed demon and god cultivation method. After obtaining the new demon god set, the mixed demon and god cultivation method had a new, exclusive special effect. Exclusive Special Effect 3, the demon god Lotus Heart will activate the second stage of the demon state. The increase won't change, but the damage received will be reduced to an additional 100% damage. At the same time, you will lose 1% of your mind control ability every second. The Sacred Lotus Heart has been upgraded to a reserve skill. It can be used 3 times at most. When the mixed demon and god cultivation method reaches the 5th stage, the above special effect will be activated. This is good. The demon god Lotus Heart special effect is immediately useful. Lu Chen said in surprise. Chapter 7:14. After equipping the demonic god's Lotus Heart, Lu Chen had another demonic god set. At this time, the Sacred Lotus Sword Heart could only be used 3 times. Looking at the 3 times Sacred Lotus Sword Heart, Lu Chen felt incomparably at ease. Let's go, I'll level up and try out the new skills. In the following time, Lu Chen completely immersed himself in the wilderness of the savage lands. Sacred Lotus Sword Heart. After more than 1,000 slashes, a large number of monsters fell, killed a 5-petal flower demon. Captured 3 billion world evolution points. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 5 fragment. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 5 evolution points. Extracted 280 pure aura points. Killed Xingyu. Recovered 2 billion world evolution points. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 7 fragment plus 8. Obtained 3rd promotion rank 7 evolution points. A large amount of experience appeared. Lu Chen had previously struggled to kill these monsters. Now, he could directly kill them in one move. Damn, isn't it a bit wasteful to use this skill to kill monsters? Let's try the inner demon and feel the feeling of entering the inner demon state. After entering the inner demon state, Lu Chen felt the blood in his body quickly flowing. He was extremely excited. This is the inner demon state. Lu Chen began to feel more and more excited. All the blood in his body rushed to his brain. Because he was losing 5% of his qi every second, Lu Chen had set the maximum duration to 4 seconds. Within these 4 seconds, he seemed to have gone crazy. His speed was as fast as lightning, his attacks were fast, and his skills were even faster. Kill. Lu Chen's eyes were bloodshot. I'll tear you all to shreds. I'll tear you all to shreds. Boss. Lu Yi looked at Lu Chen worriedly. The crazy evil child in front of her was not the boss she knew. He was too bloodthirsty. When the 4 seconds were up, Lu Chen's entire body went limp. It wasn't that his body was exhausted, but that he had spent too much energy suppressing his murderous heart. With the passage of time, Lu Chen gradually recovered. He glanced at the broken corpses around him and sat on the side, panting heavily. The inner demon state is too terrifying. I can feel myself being immersed in the ecstasy of obtaining power, and the madness of killing. Boss, you were really terrifying just now. You rarely killed your opponents in the past, but in that short period of time, you seem to have changed into a different person. Lu Chen nodded. I know. The further I go, the harder it is for me to control myself. Forget it, I won't use this skill for the time being before I upgrade my mental cultivation method to the 5th level. After trying out the 2 new skills, Lu Chen decided on his future strategy. The Sacred Lotus Sword Heart would be his trump card, and he wouldn't normally use it. After all, it was a skill that could only be used once every 17 days. Using it once would cause him to feel heartache. As for the inner demon, he would have to wait until his mental cultivation technique was upgraded and the demonic god's Lotus Heart special effects were strengthened before using it. In the following time, Lu Chen began to farm as usual. There were many new species here, and there was no lack of mythical beasts. In the process of leveling up, Lu Chen collected evolution materials and new bloodlines. A month later, Lu Chen had reached the maximum level of 440. He began to level up the mythical beasts, Little Green, the Alchemy Boy, and Xiao Min. Most importantly, he collected evolution materials. 3 months later, Lu Chen raised his star rank to the third promotion 7 stars, and his attributes increased again. Lu Chen opened his interface. Under normal circumstances, Lu Chen's 3D average was around 1,600,000, his spiritual power 1 million, and his health 85 million. Physical attack 1,800,000, physical defense 970,000. In addition, Lu Chen changed a few bloodline talents. Now that Lu Chen had the Heaven's Eye, he didn't need the Flower Goblin's talent anymore. He changed it to the bloodline of the exotic beast Xingyu. The fastest flying speed in the air was increased to 30 meters per second. When flying, he could use shadow impact to increase his movement speed by 300% and gain the ability to become invisible. Fuck, my beak. Lu Chen touched the beak he spat out and almost collapsed. Why did he inherit this feature? In addition to Xingyu's flying enhancement bloodline, Lu Chen also fused with the bloodlines of the Wind-Eyed Bear and the Dark-Armored Pangolin. The Wind-Eyed Bear had the Fierce Strike talent, which was an active stun skill. Its attacks had wind element damage, while the Dark-Armored Pangolin had the Earth-Walking talent and Earth element resistance. These two bloodlines replaced the Poisonous Spider bloodline and the Snake Group bloodline. Now, his poison damage of a few million was not enough. Ah, my 2 poisons. They've been with me since the beginning. They've always been very useful. However, the replaced talents could be stored. There was no need to throw them away completely. If he needed them in the future, he could replace them in advance before the battle. It would just cost him some reputation points. Anyway, Lu Chen had a lot of those things now. There were also some exotic beasts in the wild areas of the wildlands, but they were very rare. They were like rare bosses. Lu Chen killed some exotic beasts and divine beasts, but it was far from the requirement of killing 1,000 of them. For the time being, he would wait until he killed the same kind of beasts in the future. At present, other than the Barbarian Bull and Xingyu bloodlines, the other bloodlines could no longer be upgraded. It seemed that they could only be upgraded to the 2nd or 3rd grade at most. He could only wait for a similar replacement in the future. After fusing with the 3 new bloodlines, Lu Chen's appearance underwent a huge change again. The pair of fox ears on his head and the fox tail behind him were still there. These two were fine, but the huge beak on his face was about 30 centimeters long, which greatly affected his vision. If the beak was still bearable, then his left arm directly turned into a bear's paw was really unbearable. Damn, you're just a wind-eyed giant bear. What right do you have to directly occupy my arm? Lu Chen was speechless. His back was still a little hunched, and his entire back had become a smooth arc covered with dense scales. This should be the change brought about by the dark-armored pangolin bloodline. Lu Chen looked pitifully at Lu Yi. Fortunately, he met Lu Yi. If he couldn't smelt with his previous appearance, and with a bunch of new characteristics, what would he become? Little Green, I'm counting on you. Make me look better, wah wah. Lu Chen opened his beak and spoke in human language. Damn, why did I say wah wah? I only have a beak, I'm not a birdman. GG. Lu Yi held back her laughter. Boss, I'll try my best, but the smelting process is random. I can't guarantee that it will look better than now. Lu Chen's face was full of despair. At least make this beak disappear for me, or else I'll go crazy. Wah. Damn, you're still doing it. Wah wah. Lu Chen wished he could tear this beak off right now. Little Green, hurry up and smelt with all your might. Don't pity me. Wah wah. Wah your sister. Lu Chen took the initiative to jump into Lu Yi's furnace. Lu Yi put in a lot of herbs and started a fire. "Boss, I'm going to start." This time, the smelting process was especially long. It took a few hours to complete. Maybe it was because the bloodline of the wild beasts here was higher. When the lid was opened, steam came out from inside. Xiao Min covered her mouth and said in horror, "Sister Lu, boss won't be cooked, right?" The medicine boy was also paying attention to the furnace. It was the first time he saw Lu Chen change his appearance, so he was even more curious. "I can smell the fragrance of meat. I'm afraid not only is it cooked, it might even be burnt." Lu Yi shook her head. "Impossible, boss will definitely be able to withstand it." "Boss, are you there?" "Here." A voice came from inside. Chapter 7:15. A white figure emerged from the medicine cauldron. At this moment, Lu Chen no longer looked like the evil child from before. The Lu Chen standing in front of Lu Yi and the others had exquisite facial features. He was about 1.9 meters tall and had a well-proportioned body. His short white hair fluttered in the wind. His skin was snow-white and delicate, and his white eyebrows were slanted to his temples. His face was resolute. His pair of dark red eyes made him look a little demonic with a hint of coldness. His fox tail was gone, leaving only a pair of fox ears. It seemed that Lu Yi had always been fond of this pair of ears and had been trying her best to keep them for Lu Chen. Lu Yi and Xiao Min were stunned. At first glance, Lu Chen's current strength might not be heaven-defying, but his looks were definitely heaven-defying. "Ha ha 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 ha. I'm finally handsome for once." Lu Chen spoiled his demeanor as the demon prince the moment he opened his mouth. "With my current looks, even that brat Gufei has to admit defeat." Lu Chen was bursting with confidence. He was handsome and elegant now. Most importantly, his demonic style was full of exotic charm and would definitely arouse people's curiosity. "Boss, can you not talk? That feeling was pretty good just now. Once you talk, you collapse." Xiao Min shook her head. No matter what Lu Chen looked like, he was still the boss she was familiar with. Lu Chen felt comfortable all over. After coming to Jiutian for so long, he had transformed into strange things several times. This time, he was the closest to a human form. Although he did not look exactly like a human, according to human aesthetics, he was still handsome. "Little Green, can't you take off my ears too? They don't feel domineering enough." "No, no." Xiao Min hurriedly said. "Boss, I like your furry ears. They're so cute." Lu Chen frowned slightly. He was clearly a straight man. Why did he have to be cute? Strange. "Kuang, what bloodline did you inherit your current form from? How did you become so handsome all of a sudden?" the apprentice asked. Lu Yi thought for a moment and said, "I think boss might have obtained the gene for albinism. Look at his white hair and eyebrows. It's like the albinism of all living creatures, but it shouldn't affect his strength." Lu Chen didn't care too much. Anyway, he was very satisfied with his new image. Now, he could even travel around Jiutian in this form. Lu Chen's level was already maxed out, and there wasn't much to play with in the wild monsters nearby. Lu Chen caught 40 rare beasts and became a member of the army. He returned to the Celestial Pinnacle sect and exchanged for a lower world token. After returning to the Spirit Gathering Mountain in the second heaven, Lu Chen saw Er Shan, 3 idiots, 8 heads, 10 tigers and other subordinates whom he had not seen for a few years. Over the years, their levels had already been maxed out, but Lu Chen didn't come to pick them up, so they just stayed here and cultivated their spiritual power. Seeing these original comrades again, Lu Chen felt a little emotional. He even thought of the 3 idiots, the 3 gnolls who died in battle. That was also the first time he felt that he couldn't protect everyone. Unfortunately, Lu Chen was in the 3rd heaven and the 4th heaven. He couldn't find a suitable place to settle the army. He didn't even have any military merits in the third heaven, so he couldn't directly enter. If he randomly placed them in the wilderness of the fourth heaven, even if there were 40 high-level beasts, they still wouldn't be able to protect themselves there. There are still many people on Earth in the second heaven. The number of times to clear the personal dungeon is full every day, and you can also collect attributeless soul essences. You guys should stay in the second heaven for now, Lu Qin said to Shan and Shan. How about this, I'll raise the level of the army first, then raise the level of the personal dungeon. When there's a suitable opportunity in the future, I'll bring you guys to a higher heaven region. Lu Qin noticed that the 40 beasts were restricted to level 100 after returning to the second heaven. Their strength was greatly reduced. This was probably the result of them not having a lower world token. However, Lu Qin didn't expect them to fight. His main goal was to expand the number of people in the army. Now that his army had 90 monsters, Lu Qin could raise the army to a level 7 army in one go. A new building appeared in the army. Temple of Demons. Lu Qin looked at the description of the new building strangely. This was a new building that appeared in the level 5 army. Its function was to obtain a percentage of Lu Qin's Heaven's Wrath ability. It could ignore distance and respond to Lu Qin's Heaven's Wrath. In the level 1 Temple of Demons, the monsters enjoyed the 10% bonus effect of Lu Qin's Heaven's Wrath. Now that Lu Qin's level was 2. For times the normal level, all the army members could also break through the upper limit of 24%. The level limit in the second heaven broke through 100 and reached level 124. On the other hand, when Lu Qin used divine might and demonic might, even if there wasn't a single monster in his current map, the army members in the second heaven could respond to his heaven's wrath and provide him with attributes. Damn! This is so strong. Lu Qin's eyes widened. He thought that other than the blood sacrifice shield, soul essences, and earning money wouldn't be of much use in the army. Who knew that such a function would appear? I have to level up the army properly in the future. Lu Qin exclaimed. When the army reached level 7, the Temple of Demons could also be upgraded to level 8. All the monsters in the army would enjoy the 30% bonus effect of Heaven's Wrath, and the level limit would be 172. Now, they could level up here again. When the army reached level 7, an upgrade option appeared in the army warehouse. Not only did it increase the capacity of the warehouse, but it also had the ability to use the warehouse remotely. Lu Qin could directly obtain and store items from the heaven's domain he was in. In other words, I don't have to come back to collect the soul essences in the future. Also, I can use the warehouse remotely. This is too convenient. Lu Qin couldn't help but think that if the army leveled up a few more times, it would be even more convenient if he could carry the army around with him. Unfortunately, this function hadn't appeared yet. Forget it, I can't ask for too much. Let's take it slow. The medicine boy had been inspecting the army's environment alone. When Lu Qin was almost done with his matters, he returned. I didn't expect there to be such a treasure land in the second heaven. Xiao Kuang, you've really picked up a treasure. Ah. What do you mean? Lu Qin asked curiously. The medicine boy explained, this is a natural spiritual source. It's extremely vast. I've never seen such a vast natural spiritual source anywhere else. Simply put, there must be some kind of powerful treasure under this mountain range. Lu Qin's eyes widened. Treasure. He was most interested in this. However, my suggestion is to not touch this treasure for the time being. Let it continue to provide spiritual energy for your army. Look at your army's spiritual source, it's still in a state of natural upgrading. Lu Qin nodded slightly. Indeed, after coming to the Spirit Condensation Mountain Range, he no longer needed to provide spiritual energy for his spiritual source. The three armies' spiritual sources had all been upgraded to the peak of Stage 4. That was the result of their own upgrades. Also, how long do you have left with your mortal domain token? 3 days. There are a lot of things to do this time. Those sect tributes probably won't be of much use in the future, so I changed them to 3 days, Lu Chen replied. 3 days, the time difference is too long. The medicine boy calculated. Can you bring your army with you? No, but I can retrieve items remotely. That's good. In that case, I'll stay here. Anyway, it's very safe here. I'll open up a large herb garden here. The spiritual energy here is abundant, and it's most suitable for precious herbs to grow. Little Green, if you get any rare herbs, put them in the warehouse. I'll take them out and cultivate them. You can take them away after I'm done. That works? Of course, the spiritual energy here is endless. It's really too rare. I didn't know about it before, but now that I know, it's a waste if I don't make good use of it. The medicine boy said sadly. Chapter 7:16. Of course, it was best that the medicine boy was willing to stay. Even the humanoid monsters, such as the mountain, had limited intelligence and could only repeat Lu Chen's orders. The medicine boy was an intelligent spirit pet and could help Lu Chen manage the army. Little boy, are you sure you want to stay? Xiao Min looked at the medicine boy with some reluctance. The medicine boy touched his nose and avoided Xiao Min's gaze. He had been lonely for a long time, and now that someone was suddenly concerned about him, the medicine boy felt a little reluctant. Ahem. Well, anyway, Xiao Kuang will come and pick me up in the future. He's brainless and dares to fight even if he can't beat me. If I don't get more herbs for him, I'm afraid he'll die sooner or later. Although the medicine boy had always liked to be sharp-tongued, everyone could feel his concern for Lu Chen. He would rather stay alone, which was a sacrifice in itself. After all, what the medicine boy was most afraid of was loneliness. Lu Chen nodded. Little boy, don't worry. When I find a suitable place for the army to develop, I'll come and pick you guys up. You. Don't forget, I won't forget. Lu Chen smiled. You're so powerful. How could I forget? I'll come and pick you guys up as soon as possible. After being praised, the medicine boy immediately became proud. He shook his head and said, that's not unreasonable. After the army was upgraded, the division of labor within the army was further refined. Lu Chen gave the highest authority to the medicine boy and appointed him as the deputy commander. Not only did he command all the army members, but if Lu Chen gave him enough reputation, he could also capture monsters, expand the army, and upgrade the operation of the army. Of course, Lu Chen had always thought that the medicine boy did not have any combat ability. To capture army members, he had to enter the stage of subduing them by force. That was a one-on-one battle, and it was useless to have more people. However, Lu Chen did not expect the medicine boy to help him expand the army. It was already an unexpected gain to have the herb garden ready. 2 days later, when Lu Chen was about to leave the second level of heaven, he suddenly remembered something. There's still some time for the token. Come with me to a place to take a look, Lu Chen said. Are there any other spiritual sources in the second heaven? The errand boy was very interested. I don't know either. I don't think the place I'm going to is the spirit source. It's an interesting place. When I passed by that place before, I felt that something was wrong. I'll go check it out again. In the blink of an eye, Lu Chen brought the three of them to the Bridge of Helplessness. At the end of the Bridge of Helplessness sat an old woman whose face was filled with confusion. It was the Mengpa who collected the toll. The river of forgetfulness under the Bridge of Helplessness was faintly emitting black gas. When Mengpa saw Lu Chen, she was stunned. It's you. Lu Chen smiled. You still remember me? When Mengpa smiled, the area around her face was already twisted like the roots of a tree. Of course I remember. Over the years, the number of people willing to spend hundreds of millions of gold coins to cross the bridge of helplessness can be counted on my two hands. Which heaven did you come from? Fourth level. Fourth level. I didn't expect you to grow so quickly. Mengpa said thoughtfully. You didn't come back to see the river of forgetfulness, did you? Lu Chen nodded. Senior Mengpa, when I first crossed the river of forgetfulness, I felt that there was something unusual here. It was as if there was something hidden below. Mengpa glanced at the river of forgetfulness and said leisurely, the red spider lily blooms on the other shore. The heartbreak grass is sorrowful and heartbroken. Before the bridge of helplessness, before the 3 lives stone, 3 lives are decided. Young man, the number of people who have seen me twice can be counted on one hand. You and I are considered to be fated. Let me remind you. You'd better not touch the thing below now. Lu Chen's brows knitted tightly. Lu Chen still couldn't guess Meng Po's identity. She could be like Can Sheng and Old Ma, from the third heaven. If that was the case, her strength was far inferior to his. But she could also be like Mu Xian and the mountain people, from a higher heaven domain. With regards to Meng Po's warning, should Lu Chen listen or, Mengpa seemed to see Lu Chen's hesitation and suddenly changed the topic. Young man, there's one more thing that I thought of. It might be related to you. Related to me? Lu Chen asked curiously. Yes. Mengpa said. You should remember the rules of my toll. 1 million gold coins, you can keep the memories of the person you care about the most. 100 million gold coins, not only can you keep the memories, you can also increase your attributes. Lu Chen nodded. Of course he remembered such an expensive toll. When it comes to me, there are very few people who have 100 million gold coins on them. Even the juniors of the large powers of the high-level heaven domain are unable to support all of them. Lu Chen didn't doubt this point. So, even if you want to keep your memories, it's an astronomical figure for many people. I don't know how long I've been here. I've seen many people, but there's a girl who left a deep impression on me. Lu Chen frowned as he listened. That girl chose to forget. Forget? Didn't Senior say that most people would choose to forget? Why did she leave a deep impression on you? Mengpa laughed. There's nothing strange about her choice, but what she said left a deep impression on me. What did she say? Mengpa repeated her words, I'm sorry, I really can't gather so much money. It's impossible for my family to give me so many gold coins, so I can only choose to forget. But if he is my destined one, he will definitely appear in my world again. He will make me remember him again. He will ride the 9-winged heavenly dragon and appear in front of me. With that, Mengpa opened her wrinkled palm. There were 2 sparkling crystals inside. Lu Chen was in a daze. Only he had a 9-winged heavenly dragon. He looked at the crystal in Mengpa's palm and asked, what is this? Her tears, her memories. With that, Mengpa threw the crystal into the river of forgetfulness. Young man, I can't control your feelings, but this is the first time I've heard such words. If you want to know who she is, wait until you pass the 5th layer of heaven. Only then will you be qualified to enter the river of forgetfulness. Lu Chen stared blankly at the crystal that sank into the water. Who is she? After a long silence, Lu Chen sighed. Mengpa had made it very clear this time. He had to pass the 5th layer of heaven to have the strength to enter the river of forgetfulness. Then, his current strength might not be enough. Mengpa smiled and no longer looked at Lu Chen. She repeated those words again, the red spider lily blooms on the other shore, the heartbroken grass is sorrowful and heartbroken. Before the bridge of helplessness, before the stone of 3 lives, 3 lives. Lu Chen also knew that Mengpa had already made an exception by telling him so much. It was useless for him to ask any more questions. Thank you, Senior. Lu Chen bowed deeply to Mengpa and turned to leave. Looking at Lu Chen's receding figure, Meng Po's turbid eyes looked towards the horizon. Lu Chen, are you that girl's destined one? If so, don't let that girl wait too long. She doesn't have much time left. Chapter 7:17. Lu Chen did not know who the girl was. Mengpa did not give him any hints, but when he thought of the girl crying for him, Lu Chen felt a little sad. Was he the person she cared about the most? The funny thing was that he was not sure who she was. Lu Yi, Ling Noa. Impossible, they all remembered him. Perhaps he would only know the answer after crossing the river of forgetfulness. The mortal realm token's time was almost up. Lu Chen sent the potion boy back to the army, looked at Big Fool and the others, and turned to leave the second heaven. In front of the fourth heaven tower, a white-haired man walked towards the tower alone. The successor of Lunar Glow had not arrived yet. At this stage, only Lu Chen could enter the fifth heaven. Standing in front of the towering tower, although Lu Chen was now at the fourth heaven, when he looked up, the tower was still towering into the clouds, and he could not see the top of the tower. Just as he was about to enter the tower, a voice came from behind him. Brother Quang. Lu Chen looked back and saw a woman in white standing in the distance. He did not tell anyone when he came to the tower. Xuanling actually appeared at this time. He did not know how long she had been waiting here. Xuanling, Lu Chen smiled at the woman in the distance. At least there was someone who came to send him off. Brother Quang, be careful. Thousands of words were condensed into the simplest of blessings. Lu Chen nodded and shouted from afar, you too. After that, Lu Chen entered the Tong Tian Tower without looking back. The fourth heaven boss room was particularly spacious. To accommodate lunar glow and extreme yang illumination, this place must be big enough. However, at this time, the room was empty. Lu Chen could directly pass through the room and climb the stairs to the fifth floor. In front of the huge black hole, Lu Chen took a deep breath. Is everyone ready? Let's go. As soon as he stepped into the black hole portal, Lu Chen suddenly felt dizzy. After a short moment of dizziness, when Lu Chen opened his eyes, he was shocked to find that he was in his own room. Inside a villa on Earth. He could even see himself lying inside the gaming cockpit. This. Lu Chen was dumbfounded. Wasn't he going to the fifth heaven? Then what the hell is going on now? When a person saw himself lying in front of himself, the feeling was truly horrifying. Even though Lu Chen had been through hundreds of battles, he was still frightened. I'm not dead, am I? At this moment, a system notification appeared. Seeing the system notification, Lu Chen finally let out a sigh of relief. Seeing the system notification meant that he was not dead yet. Please do not panic. You are currently still in the ninth heaven domain. As the fifth heaven domain requires you to upgrade your gaming equipment, please operate your gaming equipment according to the system prompt. Detected that your gaming equipment is the XR41 gaming cockpit. The equipment is rather outdated, please operate with caution. Lu Chen was speechless. His equipment was probably the most advanced equipment that Tianqing could provide. It cost as much as 800,000. In order to prevent Tianqing from cutting off Lu Chen's connection again, the military had personally purchased this equipment under the military's name. In the end, it turned out to be rather outdated, perhaps the equipment in other worlds were more advanced. Anyway, Lu Chen was sure that on Earth, his gaming cockpit was already the best. Please open the gaming cockpit and press the surface of the gaming cockpit's helmet with your right thumb. We will activate the secondary operating system according to your fingerprints. This won't affect me, right? I mean, affect me in real life. Your current operation is a virtual operation. Only the pre-installed program will respond to your actions. It will not affect your safety in real life. However, just in case, please follow the operating instructions. Lu Chen nodded. Speaking of which, his consciousness was in the Jiutian. If the Jiutian wanted to harm him, they did not have to go through so much trouble. After opening the gaming cockpit, Lu Chen pressed the smooth surface of the helmet with his right thumb. Fingerprint confirmed. A small door suddenly opened on the side of the gaming helmet. There was only one red button inside. Please activate secondary operating system. Lu Chen thought about it and finally pressed the red button. Program upgrade. Your equipment will be bound to you. If the equipment is damaged, you will only need to buy a new one and unlock secondary operating system with your fingerprints. You will be forced to go offline in 5 minutes. The system upgrade will take about 15 minutes. After the upgrade, you will directly enter the fifth heaven domain. Have a good game. The system notification ended, and Lu Chen entered the countdown to go offline. Lu Chen frowned slightly. The system needs to be upgraded. This is the first time I've encountered something like this. It was said that the fifth heaven was a qualitative change. Just from the way he logged in, it indicated that this sentence was not wrong. Now, all Lu Chen needed to do was wait patiently. After 5 minutes, he would automatically go offline. After going offline, Lu Chen opened his eyes and found that the gaming cockpit door was really open. The secondary operating system on the side of his helmet had also been activated. Damn, what a strange feeling. Lu Chen could not help but shiver. Someone had opened his gaming cockpit just now. If it was someone else, killing him would be a piece of cake. But what was more terrifying was that that person was actually himself. Another version of himself. Taking advantage of the system upgrade, Lu Chen ran to Lu Yi's room to take a look. That girl was lying in the gaming cockpit and everything was normal. I wonder what that girl is doing. 15 minutes later, Lu Chen could not wait to log into the game again. He hurried back to his room. The system upgrade had been completed. At this time, the gaming cockpit had changed from a 30-degree tilt to a completely upright state. The original glass door had become completely black, and the inside could not be seen from the outside. What the hell? Why did the appearance change? Lu Chen did not understand the difference. Don't tell me I have to stand in the future. This doesn't make sense. Opening the cockpit door, Lu Chen put on the gaming helmet like before. Your secondary operating system has been completed. When entering the game this time, we will use interstellar teleportation technology to send your body to Jiutian. We can only guarantee that there will be no accidents during the teleportation process. Do you wish to continue? Lu Chen almost vomited blood. What? Interstellar teleportation? This. My body entering Jiutian? Are you kidding me? The system did not answer. Damn. This, I'm not ready yet. Wait. Lu Chen temporarily gave up on the teleportation and took off the gaming helmet. He squatted on the ground and panted heavily. Sweat had already seeped out of his forehead. Entering the game with one's consciousness and entering the game with one's own body were two different feelings. In other words, once Lu Chen was ready, he would undergo an unprecedented interstellar teleportation. He had not yet entered the fifth heaven and had not seen what the fifth heaven was like or what kind of strong people were there. Just the login method alone was enough to make Lu Chen tremble in fear. Chapter 7:18. If it was in the past, Lu Chen might have needed to calm down for a long time. However, after countless battles in the third and fourth heavens, Lu Chen's mental fortitude had unknowingly matured. At this moment, he sat on the edge of his bed and took a deep breath to calm himself down. The login method from the brain's neuron quantum replication to the current direct teleportation marked the first qualitative change in the fifth heavens. In the fifth heavens, physical damage would become the norm. And that word would linger in his mind all of a sudden: death. Lu Chen, oh Lu Chen, have you forgotten the answer you're looking for? If such a login method is enough to make you cower, then how are you going to reach the peak of the 9 heavens? Lu Chen took a deep breath. Death? Have you not faced enough third heavens and fourth heavens? After going through these 2 celestial domains, I actually already have the ability to face a real battle. What's more, other people are also directly teleporting. If they're not afraid, why should I be afraid? After a round of self-motivation, Lu Chen stood up again and walked to the front of the game cabin. Isn't it just teleportation? This will only make the game more interesting. Lu Chen's eyes gradually revealed a look of excitement, just like when he encountered a strong enemy in the game. Unknowingly, Lu Chen had transformed from an ordinary person into a strong person. Entering the game cabin again, Lu Chen closed the cabin door and put on the game helmet. Facing the system prompt again, he did not hesitate to select Confirm. Fifth heavens, I, the solipsistic, am coming. Lu Chen's game cabin's glass door had become a one-way glass. It was impossible to see inside from the outside, and no one would notice. In fact, in Lu Chen's game cabin, a silver light lit up. At this time, there was no one in the game cabin. Physical teleportation was the first prerequisite for entering the fifth heavens. After a familiar dizziness, when Lu Chen opened his eyes, he found himself in a small village. The village was currently empty, with only a few simple houses. The doors of each house were open, and daily necessities could be seen in the houses. It was obvious that there were people living here, but there was no one around. Lu Chen touched his body. Speaking of which, it was quite strange. Lu Chen really couldn't tell if his body was in the game or in real life. The only difference was probably his attire. Lu Chen was now wearing his own red wild blood sword god outfit, not the big pants and vest that he wore at home. Is this the fifth layer of heaven? Where are the villagers? Lu Chen was puzzled. However, he still had a lot of questions, so he decided to start from the ones that could be solved. Right, what about my attributes? Should I use my physical attributes or the attributes in the game? Lu Chen opened his personal attribute panel. When he looked at the attributes, he almost collapsed. The 2 million points were all gone. Right now, his value was so low that it made one's hair stand on end. Physical attributes: Strength 1133, Agility 1142, Physique 1151, True Nuclear Spiritual Pill, Mixed Spiritual Pill, Spiritual Power 1100. From the data, these attributes should be Lu Chen's physical attributes. He had used a lot of reality extraction scrolls, which was why his attributes were so high. Looking at his skills and bloodline, they were all gone. Fuck. What the hell? Lu Chen exclaimed. I worked so hard to level up, increase my stars, and get equipment, but my stats are all gone. Just as Lu Chen was about to curse, he found that he had a new function page. Battle Soul Attribute Panel. Lu Chen opened the panel. In this panel, the solipsistic Battle Soul attribute appeared, including the extremely long name and exaggerated attributes. They were all there. At this moment, the system's explanation was displayed. The fifth layer of heaven is the beginning of the real Jiutian. Everyone has the opportunity to embark on the real path of cultivation. Please absorb your Battle Soul's strength. You will inherit all the Battle Soul's attributes, equipment, and other attributes. Lu Chen heaved a sigh of relief and quickly chose to inherit the Battle Soul's attributes. This thing could not be lost. It was not easy for him to upgrade it. However, after absorbing the attributes, Lu Chen found that he had indeed mastered all the Battle Soul's skills, bloodline, and equipment, but he did not inherit the Battle Soul's attributes. What's going on? Where are my million attribute points? Lu Chen was a little flustered. Battle Soul absorption completed. You will obtain a new ability, Soul Body Fusion. When in the state of Soul Body Fusion, your attributes will be synchronized with the Battle Soul. Soul-body fusion is limited to 10 minutes per day. The maximum cumulative time is 60 minutes. If you do not use soul-body fusion on that day, 10 minutes of soul-body fusion time will be restored. This skill is available to all servers and cannot be affected by any other skills. Fuck. 10 minutes per day. That's not the soul-body fusion state. Doesn't that mean all my attributes are trash? Lu Chen frowned. This fifth heaven was too much of a qualitative change. The change was so big that Lu Chen found it hard to accept. Friendly system reminder: the higher the heaven domain, the shorter the duration of soul-body fusion. It is recommended that you increase your physical strength first. Only with a strong physical body can you go further. This system reminder will be the last AI reminder of the built-in system. After this, the system will only retain basic functions such as item identification and map display. The real game has begun. Welcome to the 9th heaven domain. Finally, the system wishes you a happy game. Lu Chen was stunned for a long time before he reacted. Embark on the real path of cultivation. Lu Chen pondered over this sentence. So Mu Xian and the others were real itinerant immortals. Jiutian finally revealed its true face in the 5th heaven. This was indeed a Xianxia-themed online game. However, it was so real that players could cultivate, and the network was extended to the entire universe. The system reminder had already disappeared. Lu Chen took a deep breath and began to analyze his current situation. First, he looked at the soul-body fusion state. Currently, his cumulative usage time was 10 minutes. If I encounter danger, I should be able to escape within 10 minutes. Lu Chen muttered to himself. With his current attributes, he was confident in this. Thinking of this, Lu Chen's nervous mood relaxed a little. If I don't use soul-body fusion for 6 days, then I can get an hour of time. I can handle most of the battles. If all the players in the server are like this, then I don't have to be nervous. Lu Chen calmed down. My attributes shouldn't be low. After all, not everyone can exchange for so many reality extraction scrolls. However, I can't be completely sure. After all, there are some races in the 5th heaven. Their advantages can be truly extracted. If I don't use soul-body fusion, I'm afraid I won't be a match for them. Fortunately, I have the celestial demon fusion cultivation technique and bloodline talent. Even if it's my own growth speed, it won't be slower than others. Thinking of this, Lu Chen finally calmed down completely. The 5th heaven was indeed not a joke. Not only did he have to teleport his own body in, but after the battle's soul restriction, even for Lu Chen, danger lurked everywhere. You call the 5th heaven a real game? Lu Chen's lips curled up. Very good. You're playing big, right? Interesting. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.